Mm.
Hello. You got me? You there?
Yes, hi, Kenny. Welcome. We're just setting up the YouTube stream.
Okay.
Tell them is coming in under my name, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm coming in under another account on another computer, Tess Kempner. You notice that?
All right. So good morning, everyone. This is Siava, Lisa Wolf, with the Mending the Hoop Council on what is known as Friday, May 13th. And I'm happy to welcome to council our guests, Clan Mother Karen and Macdonald, Matt Omerta, Kennedy Carr, and we also have joining us Tess, or you're on Tess's.
I'm on Tess's because it's.
And Andre George Monroe and Gloria Jarrow. And the topic really is surviving, thriving in the police state, and what's going on and how we can protect ourselves and advance the cause of mending the hoop and healing the earth. And I'm going to ask Clan Mother Karen if she would do the opening, please.
Thank you. Sasibo, like which? Thank you, Lisa Miigwech. Thank you for the counsels. Dear Heavenly Creator, we thank you for this exciting times that we are now, for family moving forward in. We thank you for our abilities to come together as people of the heart, our tribe, our soul, and our star nations, all together in the uniformity for the benevolence of all. We thank you for the heavenly skies and our Father, and for Gaia and our Earth Mothers. We thank you for the animals. We thank you for the waters that we so abundantly enjoy, our spring waters, our life, our lifelines. We thank you for this time that we can come together for the children. We thank you for the next generations and those to come. We thank you that people will begin to come together to understand our laws of the lands, our great treaties of peace, and the peace that we offer to all those openly and with open arms. We thank you for the ability to come together, to garden and to tend to the earth, to put things back and restore it in the original ways that God's intended. Sasibo, thank you.
Thank you. Now, issues with the dominating forces, issues with the borders. I know that Karen, we're going to start with you and that which has been on your mind. We're also going to be focusing, we have Kennedy Carr joining us. He has a special situation that involves his recent experience at the border between Mexico and the United States. But I'm going to give the feather to Clan Mother Karen and let her begin.
Thank you again for this opportunity and your kindness in extending this time to speak at this event. My role was brought to me a long time ago. So I'm known as Karen Ann Macdonald. I'm also part of the White Bear, White Tribal clan. We're not part of the white race. My background, I'm the multi-generational of people that have been here, of clans and tribes. My bloodlines are AB positive. They go back over 45,000 years. We're the holders and the caregivers and the wisdom keepers of the Noah's Ark or Arcturian Treaty of Peace that falls in coherence with the wampum belts, the peace pipes, the canes of authority, Solomon's seal, and also the Platons of Troy. So that also involves the star nations and the galactic councils as we know them to be. So my background is actually in medicine, nursing background, which led into holistics, which led into herbology, iridology, quantum medicine, Tesla type of medicine, radionics, but specializing always in the basis of water. And the basis to everything to life is water. And from that, I am a spring water advocate, like a dear friend of mine, David Avocado Wolf. And so all the radionics that I use, whether it's Tesla plates, Tesla coils, the only thing that seems to work appropriately for us to put the spring waters onto different plates so that we can also put the original codes back in for people. So my background has been developing with Ryan Williams, who is the developer of the Genius Biofeedback in the life systems, but also with Dr. Ari Policano. She's a naturopath, energetic medical doctor as well. So my background as well is in quantum medicine. So I've also doing the PhD at the International Quantum University of Integrative Medicine with Dr. Paul Duran. So in there, having said that, right now, this is a time of great peace. So the proclamations ended with the, we call the different shifting of times, ages, periods, the end of the contract with the draconian monarchy, whatever we want to say, royalty, Sangreal, ended in actually technically 2013. So it wasn't the end of the world in 2012, but it was actually September 2013. And these were galactic star nations agreements. They had to have been authorized by the actual descendants or bloodline hereditaries that actually formed them in the first place in 360 and 3160 BC. So I'm one of the few left remaining that there was. My rule, or whatever, 15 minutes of fame, so to speak, is when I was taken by the elders. I've been with the Sinaiacs. I arrived in the Schwetmac territories, people know as Kamloops, British Columbia, and then was raised in the Cree-Nahilwak area by what people call Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. So I have been with many tribes, with galactic elders, with Star Nation elders, and that was my formation teachings that I had, as well as it on my matriarchal side as well. There is a large alignment of people that were gatekeepers, wisdom keepers assigned with the military as well. So I'm very well at the secret space program and what's going on the planet above and below, and the rescues and the shutdown of the illegal bases and from the hostile forces that we're told to leave and are not. Hence, there is an operation to remove them, or we will be relocated, one of the two. We'll see. Patty Brassard, who is a Micmac shaman, was also former military U.S. Army, and gave me a somewhat of a basis to what was going on as well. But that's not my sole information, because there's a lot of, I'll say, embellishment or filtered information that comes from these people that have been previously chipped or can be augmented with their alters or multiple personalities. We'll just leave it like that. In there, the row right now is to get people aware that the Canadian flag, the American flag, the Chinese flag, whoever flag they think they're flying is not one of the original 12 nations or the 12 tribes. And that goes back by bloodline. And that is traceable, which the military does keep a line on us. So in there, the actual treaties were authorized when I went to Kamloops in 2013 to arrest a queen, basically to put it into the international courts, to put it into the head court, to put it in. My guys went in and they walked into the inner city of London and spoke with the actual general of Queen Elizabeth. And she was given an eviction notice, of which she then relocated in 48 hours to the United States at Denver, Colorado, and stayed there until Trump came into power, because her relative Obama was giving her basically sanctuary for those 3 years. So in there, because I'd been taken to the mass graves, I put in for that international, what do you want to say, warrant, eviction, and also gave notice and tendered that, where they do in other areas, to the military for executing acts of war, treason and high treason, and crimes against humanity. And they should be executed as such because of the perpetration of the planticide, the genocide, everything that they've done here. So they are hostile and they are now deemed illegal aliens. We have many galactic friends here that are benevolent, that have treaties to be here. But then again, speaking, we also have many that are not here benevolently and are hostile with their own private agendas, neither of which are in any positive way, shape, or form for any of us. So the treaty that was actually done with the Draco was on copper plates, of which I held. So I met within just sort of what you call Chase, British Columbia. And there is a reason why Hope Chase, that whole area there in the Okanagan, Secwepemc territory, Squamish nations, all on the West Coast Indians, is under major attack, because we're the last holders of that vestige, because we still are hereditaries, whether we're white or red. And there's a very big conception that people assume natives have. They don't. And that's because they had signed off this generation or many generations previously and are deemed not a noble savage from first world, not even from second world, which we've dissolved all that private, public, elitism. That's not going to go anywhere anymore. And the problem is that in the bands and the reserves, because they signed off all their rights and all their children's rights. Remember, when you sign something off, it affects all the generations. Same thing when they're trying to buy them off with residential payoff schools. And in there, what happens is that those are legal contracts. So they're deemed basically a prisoner of war. Right? So why they have powwows, but you're deemed basically an inhabitant, which is got the rights about equivalent as an animal or a cow to be shot. So our teachings come back into law of the land, what those original treaties were, whether you want to talk about health and a quantum thing, heirloom seeds, aquaponics, getting back to, again, adherence to even the animals, right? And that becomes into land-based food as well. It comes back into fruitarianism. It comes back into being a solarian, a breatharian. It comes back into all the evolution that we can be. We could be all that we can be. But from there, which leads into people always think vegan, but that's really one of the galactic councils. We know that Vega, Epsilon, Lyrans, all of our higher evolved Octurians are these type of people that have evolved minds, evolved hearts, and they do not take death in. They do not kill, which is the same premise to, a lot of what David Avocado and other people that are friends of mine advocate, super herbalism, superfoods, and also getting back to what we need to do so that we can carry on the evolution, but teach those around us. And those plates are so, so important, because the few people that know the difference, there's a difference between clan blood and there's a difference between tribal blood. And this is what they're not doing. There was someone called Meredith Quinn. And quite frankly, a lot of that was just, you take stuff like that, like even with the Bible, with a big grain of salt, because there's so much crap mixed in there. It's so speculative. And it's still in there, is missing a lot of the stuff that we have. And they are not the keepers of those knowledge. The wisdom keepers and the life givers are those matrilineals and the women. But we also appointed the men. We worked in unity, in coherence, right? They appointed their councils, for their wisdom and for the divine masculinity that the men hold. They are, I don't like to think when you're doing yoga, right? Am I in warrior one? No, I'm in peacekeeper one. We are the original peacekeepers, right? So even our language It's very hard in English because it's so Babylonian, so I don't get too much caught up into this stuff. My role is that I met with the Galactic Councils and the Andromeda Councils, and I'm one of the few joint Earth representations on those Galactic Councils, because they had to have a joint Earth from the Andromeda Council, which I'm now part of as well. In dealing with Judge Alfred Weber at newsinsideout.com, exopolitics, and many of the other things, what we're having is now international warrants for these people because of their crimes against humanity and to do with the contact vaccinosis. I'm the one that actually developed the remedies, by the way, for the contact vaccinosis, is shedding is the layman's term, which is just being around someone that's been vaccinated, or PCR test is the same as a vax. And so we are now getting sick. Our people are hemorrhaging, they're dying, they're coming down with leprosy, with bubonic plague, they're microclotting. So now they're having myocarditis, they're having heart strokes, and we're having clots just from being around the people, let alone what they've done contaminating the dogs. And then someone goes to do it. And I end up with a full-time career, which I didn't really want to be doing, but we parted that is what we're doing, is making the remedies available to the people through genius biofeedback. So in conjunction with the herbology, you need to have, because we're bioelectrical, you have to deal with the quantum bioelectrical field, or it will attack you. And I know no different, because I went to a biological dentist a few weeks ago. I ended up comatose for 7 hours and I bled out vaginally and clotted. So I'm not the only one doing this. It's bad enough when you see some of our children that are clotting out and they're bleeding out their eyes, they're bleeding out their nose, they're bleeding out their ears, they're bleeding out rectally. And the damage that's been done, and it's in almost every city. I just went to out, because I'm helping at a prepper's paradise, we'll just say here, starting to get people educated with some of the preppers here, whether you want to call it community gardens, but how to do that, because we went near the city. I went near Edmonton and I almost fried my brains out. The smart grid is active, not only from 5G, it's active in 6G. And it doesn't matter how organic a garden is going to be, right? Because the 5G is burning us, because it's a shortwave microwave. That's why everyone's got to have a smart meter shield on every house, every land. I don't care if you got it attached to the barn. It's got to be shut off. And so we're in here getting solar panels and stuff right now. And, we just went and found to findaspring.com. So we just found one in Rimley, right? But I went to Edmonton and got fried. And because the 6G is active, which most people have very little knowledge in, but 6G travels along the ground, which means all our land and our gardens are going to fry. And that travels along the ground. So all of our greenhouses now have to be fortified with like the aluminum mesh, and now with chicken wire. So we're 6G. So even to do this is a huge art. And this is where I think we have to come together, like, Tim, Lisa, Matt, Tess, Gloria, Andre, and Ralph. We have to come together and use our skills and our expertise and the wisdom that we all bring. All of us have that in a certain amount, but there's always an upgrade. If we don't have spring water, we're not going to have life here. And so I'm very grateful to Daniel Vitalis and David Avocado Wolf at findaspring.com, because we're going to have to grow with that kind of food, because this is stuff like when we talk about what's the venoms in the shots and in the water and the air, it's there, people, because I'm the one that developed some of the technology to show you what's in the vials. I have the vials, I have the swabs, I have everything. And I know the nanotechnology. I know the venomization in it. Those venoms are real. So are all the micro nano particles, the femi particles, and the pentatar particles. They're in there. Their DNA is in there. The reptilian DNA is in there. And alone from the graphene oxide. So I'm the one actually behind Vaccine Choice Canada teaching and Frontline Nurses teaching, which apparently they're not listening too well these days. But this stuff is real. And there are so many different venoms, you don't know what's going to be where, at what time, because they can activate it remotely. So mine is actually about getting things into people, getting them alkaline, getting their power back, because all the radiation is going to look like cancer, it's going to look like a heart attack. They're going to call it whatever they want, to change the CV idiots that we have out there in the CV COVID, what I call accidents, right? It's the biggest cover up, and I'm still recovering from what we did yesterday, just being on the road. I found another base, and yesterday, I will let you know, we just lost 2 hours, two of us. it doesn't take us 3 hours to get somewhere that takes, half an hour. So there's other things going on other frequencies that we need to address. But mine is to get people, one, healthy and get the technology into our hands, because we developed, instead of having $50,000 equipment, Tesla equipment, to do it on a phone or an iPad or an iTablet. So we have that available. We even have free use stuff for a while. So that's more my background. And I thank you, Lisa, for putting this together and for putting the circle, our healing circles coming back together, our mending the sacred hoop in there. This is the time of revelation, prophecy, or whatever. But having said that, if you believe in it, you will manifest that. So the people are creating this global paradigm matrix that needs to be shattered, because this is the glue that is, most people are operating on, this de facto fiat, whether it's the currency, the rainbow thing, anything. All that was never part of the law of the land. It was never part of the law of gifting. It was never even part of bartering. So I know there's a change in that. There are many people getting paid out, but remember, they have to sell something and sign something to get that. I'm very well aware of people that got their trucks and their mortgages paid off. I know who they are. I'm going to give us stuff for the humanitarian projects. But aside from that, that's not what the law was. It really isn't. So right now, like I said, we're in areas that, you get near these cities. Most people, I will tell you, are too acidic. They're too dumbed down. And I'll mean it from the dumb base, the deep underground military bases, but they're also too numbed now that they just can't feel. So my thing is to get everyone back, like a full chakra activation or lighting the 8th fire, 9th, whatever dimension you want to be in. But that is an art and a skill. And getting some of the stuff, I've got companies and suppliers all over now. Like in Banff here, I've got them making radiation protection essential oils. I have friends in here in Naramata in British Columbia making Spike Protect all in one, because people can't afford $300 worth of, nattokinase this and serapeptase this and quercetin this and schizanderberry this. This is ridiculous. So, how to do it with baking soda, how to do it with borax, how to do it with local stuff. And ideally, we can get down to that 0 mile, I don't call it diet, but live it and learn the foraging skills that they need to. A lot of my friends are near here, near the Rocky Mountain areas, and in this, the Hiwak, or the, Rocky Mountains and the Bear Clan, Arcturian technology in areas. So we need to look at that, using the shagas, looking for the radiation production. This is about radiation right now, more than anything else. People don't realize it. So that's just a little about what I have to say. I mean, I still see clients one-on-one, but I also have an entire team of international therapists now that are set up to assist that. But we have to look after ourselves and go from there. And I appreciate Matt. I don't know if is that a real background, or I don't know if that's your screensaver, but that's the place we need to be, is reconnected back to the trees. And we have to look to nature, because that's what's standing between us and some of the radiation right now. And there's a misnomer that people think about going to the, the Banff areas or these, mountain sacred things. Let me tell you how hot it is. I've gone into some of them, like Canmore and Banff and Vernon and the back into Kelowna. Most people are not aware. Most of the cities, the bases underneath had nuclear facilities since the 1950s, and almost all the major cities have them with an underground synchrotron CERN ring. And by the way, they're almost all on fire. So if you go to the thermal imaging, I was the one that actually found out that the Hope, British Columbia, was actually a radiation incident as they were trying to take down technology and rescue children. And what happened is it backfired. We have radiation contamination and hot particles on top of smart desks all over the place. And we're inhaling that, we're breathing it. The actual radiation, like the actual vegetation, turned black, just like Chernobyl and just like Fukushima. And they did not know what to do because they're not that bright. They opened up all the different waterways around there and they flooded the area. And now we've got radioactive water all through British Columbia. Now it's, when I tried to get out of the area, it doesn't matter if it's Dawson Creek, where it is. Doesn't matter where it is in this planet. I don't care if you're in Europe. I don't care if you're in North America. I don't care where you are. We are seeing that globally, internationally. And this is an international incident that needs to be looked after. So I approached Judge Alfred Weber. We have now, I would say converting over, but a lot of people have rescinded their oaths because one, the monarchy's been killed. You know, Trump's not the clan mother. He's not part of any of this other than their alliances there with their own private agendas, I might add. So what happens in here is that when I approached Judge Alfred Weber, because he is a bona fide international Juris Doctorate judge that is tribal on his mother's side and holds an international Washington, D.C. bar license. And he's helping in the Canada and the States shut down these corporations, but redevelop the new sheriffs we've been meeting with and provost marshals we're meeting with and deputizing another 50,000 guys right now so that they will now not hold up the Corporation of Canada or whatever, or this constitution, that republic or whatever, but based on the 13 nations and the 13, well, actually 13 clan mothers per se, and adhere to international treaty, but also to bring into, because most people are aware, common law. Again, not quite the same thing, but similar. As everything, it's a mirroring system. So in there, I've dealt with Judge Alfred Weber, and it's going. It's foregoing. We set up even different areas. We did the first prototype area out by in the Peace area by Dawson Creek. That we have even an area of we repurposed some of the vets and military and police and other interested parties. And so they were basically brought in to form the new councils. And they have all taken and affirmed their oaths because I was part of the affirmation ceremonies to be there and to attend to, so that they're able to start going out. And many of them are here, whether it's former RCMP or whatever it is. I've got my hands in a lot of that. So I'm dealing with a lot of the patriarchal, prepper patriarchs, and then they're coming back into assisting so they can protect us as matriarchs too. So that's really about it. I don't know if anyone has any questions, but I want to thank you for all your attendance, for your help, your open-heartedness, and understanding this law of the land and the creators stuff that we're trying to put in. And Sasibo in my language, Bivaksha. So I'll turn that over to you. I don't know if anyone has any questions, or that's my whatever 10-minute talking circle spiel.
I wanted to invite Matt to speak on and I didn't know, Matt, if you had any questions for Karen, but also to speak on the healing protocol that you've been working with and that's been so successful in your life.
Yeah, we have been devoting quite a large amount of time, and I'm really speaking about Stephen Tank Rao's inner closest kind of core group. A lot of time been devoted into looking at ways to get us back to health and greatness. We truly are, as everyone here knows, completely supernatural beings, with capable of doing what we all consider now as supernatural things, but they're very normal things. There's a lot of things that prohibit us right now from getting to be that. A lot to do with the electromagnetic grid, and there's a lot to do with that. There's so much more than what has ever come close to coming out to that has, got to figure, guys, we're the universe's number one display of technology, but look at us right now. It takes a lot to get us there. So we've been looking at the highest forms of technology that are available in the world that actually that have to do with healing and restoring. And it's a journey. I can't even tell you how many scalar and rife and plasmic this or that's and electromagnetic everywhere. And we've looked at every device that we even became aware of. Many cases tested it on a couple of us, things like that. And we have come up, there's some big, unfortunately, there is, there's a mission at hand here, right? And being around people who all their energy goes into that mission, we're at a just over the horizon here. There's some amazing things that are about to happen that are really game changers is such an under exaggeration. But yeah, we have a real soon. We will be coming out with a protocol. It's actually done. It has more. It's backed by more testimonies, personal experiences, electromagnetic testing types, gas discharge visualization thing. Vibrational frequency is electromagnetic fields, or once you actually know about them, they're very easy to rate. I mean, that's why they know exactly what we're all feeling and thinking right now very easily. Doesn't even take that good of technology. Just like our phones are electromagnetic, they're doing 10 things at once this whole time, right? So we are going to be showing everybody how to become their most amazing selves. And it's really neat. We all know heavy metals got to get out of the body, right? We also know that there's tons and tons and tons of mucus plaque, that if you actually remove all the mucus plaque and heavy metals, and then you actually heal, and there's been a lot of cellular destructuring from all this electromagnetic stuff. I mean, it's really destroyed us. So undoing all that and then hacking our biofields is what it's all about. It's all about very quickly and efficiently. You don't have to change all this stuff. If you want to add in whatever stuff into your life to improve your lifestyle, absolutely. You want to start doing yoga or anything? Hey, I will just tell you, within a few days of starting this protocol, you're going to sleep better than you've ever slept in your life. That's for everybody that's done it. That's because the pineal gland is actually being decalcified, obviously. We all know the melatonin and everything about sleeping gets into that thing. It's right where your spinal cord and brain basically touch. So a whole lot of blood goes through that. So, you start taking this protocol, which is nanotechnology. If you take the world's most experienced person in nanotechnology, because that's what it was, and then you combine that with the healthiest things that are on Earth for anti-radiation, such as zeolites and vitamin C, trace minerals, turmeric, resveratrol, apple cider vinegar, orthosilic acid, things that are, when you actually can give them a delivery system that is that nanotechnology. Look, we're used to seeing only this nanotechnology in nefarious things like obviously vaccines and chemtrails. Well, this is going to be the first time you get to see it when you put it into the good side of things and let it get put into a human body. And then at the same time, we're going to flood you with electromagnetic perfect vibrational frequency. That's going to hack your LOC or your level of consciousness up to where, well, when you're, they say what regular minds talk about people, and good minds talk about events, something like that. And great minds talk about ideas. And, you won't have no time in your life for anything other than looking on that great solution side of life and enjoying your life. So, yeah, we're very excited. Very soon, it's a simple protocol of you won't have any more of that built up plaque in your body. You won't have any more heavy metals on any part, not your lymphatic system, none of your organs, of course. So it completely opens up your whole body's ability. And then we're going to flood you with the same stuff that's been tsunamiing you with bad crap your whole life and made us all the most unhealthiest civilization in the world. And everybody that's been doing this, I will it's a miracle every time. I don't know how else to explain it. So the changes in people, I will tell you, 3 years ago, there's nobody that knew me that recognizes me to this day. I was on a much different life path before my awakening. And, all my cognitive functioning and everything about me, I'm as healthy mind, body, spirit as an individual can be. I literally wake up, in the middle of the night, just I have little babies. I have boys from 25 years old down, and there's never a time where I don't have energy. There's never a time where I'm not feeling connected to all of you and feeling grateful. And I've learned to put it in check so I don't cry. I don't know if you guys ever seen stupid news reports where I'm sitting there crying because they got me talking about crazy shit, you know, all the problems with the kids and everything. You know, we're human, right? But this has really opened me up, and I'm telling you, it is the most efficient, surest way in every level to get back to our strongest selves. You know, healthy soldiers, there's a successful army. And in my world, we're at war, and there's nowhere to hide from these bastards. And they only want power and control. They don't even care about money because they have all of it. They just use that to get more power and control. And, you know, I give a shit about my kids and your kids. And, you know, I'm lucky really to be alive. Anyone that actually, you know, my life story is way too long to go into it, but trust me, you know, I'm very grateful every day, very easily that I'm up and I have a perfect life. I get to spend all my energy literally trying to change the damn world with the best people in the world, by the way. So
Perhaps Matt, you'd like to explain what you're doing and what you're involved with right now for those who aren't familiar with who you are and the work that you're doing.
Well, I guess I've been so I spend all my time and energy with Stephen Tank Rao. And, you know, there's a lot of things that are in place for many years, and they all involve, you know, this mission. And so, you know, my end on it is because of my quantum physics background, you know, and the healing stuff is a big portion of what I do with him. And, you know, we're all far healthier than we've ever been. So, but we're with GNN and Global News Now. You know, we're all life force. Everybody's life force, because we're certainly life force, energy. And, you know, so anyone that knows there's not the best world out there and knows that it needs to change, they're life force. And so, you know, there's I guess I'm you know, there's a lot that went on with UNN, and there's a lot of things, a lot of changes that have happened recently that have affected a lot of people. And I guess I'm you know, trying to do everything I can to be on the right side of everything. There's a world to change.
Yes. I want to give, if Ralph Fukutola is still here. I'm not sure if he's left. So he was going to, I wanted him to have a chance to talk about what he and Dr. Reem are working on, but it
Okay,
looks
real
like-
quick too, Lisa, just before I go, with the electromagnetic devices and the scalar devices that everyone's pretty familiar that have come out every now and then, you know, obviously up until a few years ago, anybody that tried to bring out anything 0-point energy or scalar or anything electromagnetic, pulsating electromagnetic that was working there, that's a death wish, right? So now that, and then if, or they would just, what they really like to do is compromise the machine, like that quantum biofeedback machine that they had actually compromised. So then it didn't work. So then people would think, oh, this shit really doesn't work, because it is just like being called something a supplement. You know, we've all bought 1,000 things in our life that were supplements and that didn't work. So to label something that actually works, like nano emulsion biotechnology science mixed with the highest sourced, purest ingredients on Mother Earth, and then see magic that happens, to try to call that a supplement. But with electromagnetic machines, we have one that is a Tesla. It's full Tesla operating. It's been working for 5 years. I'll tell you, every single person that's had this stuff shining on them, this is going to be something that is going to be available for only $40 a month. And it will permanently, effectively, perfectly as the technology we've been told it works this well. Now to actually have something like that, it's not $300 a month, nothing like that. It's $40 a month or less. And I'm telling you, everybody that's been taking it looks younger. Their hair turned back to being dark when it was all gray. Your pigmentation, everything about you is healthier, because when you're getting extra universe on you, extra source, and when you actually are not getting broke down, destructured, you know, and you can put anything that's scalar and electromagnetic to a phone. Scalar can go to an object. It's non-local, obviously, but with electromagnetic, you can always put that to a location or to a device or electromagnetic device, you know, and so you're looking at something that is ever changing, sending multiple frequencies, so it can't be compromised. It can't be intercepted. Right now, anybody's machine that's out there charging $150, and people say, man, I just don't really get much out of it. Well, shit, you know, if the machine worked, within 3 months, they'd be looking quite a bit better and younger, and everything about them would be better. Everything about their emotional, physical side of life would be improved. All right, well, we got that, and we're about to launch it for everybody on the sake of humanity. It's been a long journey with it. And, you know, the only other things that inhibit that type of scalar and electromagnetic energy on the biofields, on the entire auric field, on you, the only thing that affects that is if you had bad you know, everyone is sitting with these smart, you know, smart meters. And I mean, there's so many different waves and more than, I mean, and it's far worse. You could spend 10 hours trying to explain how bad it is. But anyways, this is going to be very affordable way for people to have a whole new life. And
well, that was one of the reasons I wanted you and Karen to connect, because you had discussed in our previous conversation, Matt, this new technology, and I thought it was something that Karen would want to hear about.
Yeah, and it's pure. It's just pure Tesla electromagnetic, you know, scalar energy principle. And the only difference is the way they have it set. They can't intercept what they're doing. The main thing that took us a while, literally, the thing that we've been waiting on is that they have a full research team. And there's stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4 of any trial. You know, the vaccines in experimental phase 3, right? All right, well, we had to have thousands of people go through stage 4 trials, because something like this, if you let it blow up too soon and they're not ready to cover their ass, the controllers, the global deep state, whatever you want to call them, they have multiple ways to shut this stuff down immediately, because it truly works and it truly changes people. And so, you know, they're to that point where we could engage in our relationship and make contact, because obviously we know that once that starts happening, it calls the signals. It sends out to those fuckers to go after them and send agencies and whatever else they can do to shut it down. Men in Black, who the whole kitchen sink, right? Because they're not going to allow, obviously. So, you know, they're to that point. And so we got 3 different groups that are come together, and we're going to be the ones launching this protocol. And it's going to be flat out the biggest thing I could ever do in my life. So cool. Really is.
May I ask something at this point?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Thanks, Matt. I actually spent some time, Lisa, when she was down in Australia, and Stefan got a hold of me back in November. So they were supposed to.
Thomas?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so before she was supposed to meet with Stefan back in New York, right? So I spent probably about a couple hours with Lisa, and then an hour or so, because Stefan his schedule was all combobulated. But anyway, having said that, we wanted to go through and develop something cohesive there. Okay, because I've known about Kim stuff and Thomas. I've known them for a long time and what's going on. So, and I'm quite well aware of you, actually. So, and what you're doing with Life Force Canada, by the way. So anyway, thank you, kudos. I really appreciate, you know, when people start to talk about tachyon energy and 0 point, like I get excited. So I've been doing this for 20 years. So that was the same thing that we did. So I have been in the quantum field. I am, or was, I don't keep any certifications, but I'm also through the IQUIM. So we actually have, but now we've set up other universities of quantum integrative biofeedback, scalar, Tesla, that kind of thing. So we've been up and running, and I helped set some of that stuff up like 15, 20 years ago. And that was what Ryan did as well, because we wanted to take it into something portable. And like your $40, we have the same similar stuff. So we're talking potato. We just got to come together and get the stuff out there. So I'd like to talk with you because I'm part of the development team of that. I'm one of actually the leading instructors in it, by the way, too. So I have like certified biofeedback and Tesla, all that, 20 years ago. So if we can get those things, I have been imprinting stuff and putting it back into the water systems. If you go to News Inside Out, you'll see that I'm actually doing it beyond gas visualization discharge, which people know as ORC fields. Okay, so that's why I was showing you what we can do. I actually took these because I worked with people and I had people like Gene Decode. I'm the one that gave them the maps with Patty Broussard, by the way. Okay. So that stuff that's slowly leaking out is I'm the kind of sort of common denominator in the background. And what happened is I met with Dr. Robert O. Young and Ryan and a bunch of people to get this out because I'm the first one to put it in front of the court. So it was my evidence based on that radionic technology that is getting them nailed for crimes against humanity. So I have the vials and everything else, like I said, so I know what's coming off of them from a radionic thing. The thing that most people are missing is that you cannot put someone into a regen bed. This is not going to fix them. You're not going to get all the graphene out, but you're not going to change the RNA and the DNA. Right. Okay, so we've got separate things that space program will be doing for that kind of thing, for what they've done. These regen beds, and I mean, I know we've dealt with some of them. We have many soldiers that have been in the underground that are radioactive now, or hybrids that go in, galactic hybrids that go into the bases. They're radioactive and they're blowing up the regen beds because they can't, they're frying. Okay, so that's another thing that we're dealing with here on the rescue one. But one of the things I'd like to talk with you maybe separately, see if we can put some stuff together here. And I want to get this kind of technology that what you guys have been doing and ours, it's the same similar thing, and maybe put them all together and include, Ryan and Ariel, because we've got a whole thing too, that we've developed over that. Ryan developed most of the technology after Dr. Bill Nelson. We were the original founders of what you call the Quantum Alliance, by the way, through Dr. Bill Nelson, the SKU and the e-doctors and all those. But like I said, those are, unaffordable, and I appreciate what you're doing. I think that's very important. Yeah. We have to get the radionic stuff. So whether we imprint the food with what's missing, and I met with Lorraine Anderson and then Dr. Ross Anderson and Lorraine Anderson out of Kelowna, British Columbia. I spent the summer there because we're having people drop all over the place. Like I'd go somewhere and someone was stroking, but it wasn't a stroke. It was the contact vaccinosis, the jumping. And so what happened is I've recovered lots and lots of people. But what we did is we had to use the water because what was happening is that when we go into the live blood cell, because that's what we did. We did the biofeedback, but we took the blood first. We would run the biofeedback and then do the imprints and do whatever we need to. And then we would redo on the live blood cell. So that's where you see the changes. If we can make it at the cellular, at the blood level. And that's why I spent some time with Dr. Robert O. Young. So we're trying to get those things all honed in. So anyway, thank you. I'm so impressed with what you're doing. So I'd love to spend some.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah. 1 out of the 3 protocols is a proprietary blend, we'll say. It comes from the woman who for 30 years has worked for everyone, AstraZeneca, BioNTech, Johnson & Johnson, you name them, Pfizer.
Or Affilium, whatever.
I'm very, 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 very close friends with them. Now, here's the deal with her. So the way it works is probably the most world-renowned doctor for healing, for actual healing, is Dr. Kesh from Budapest. He's a gentleman, and this is the deal. So like the top athletes and everything you can imagine, rugby, soccer, swimming, outdoor swimming, which means you're crossing seas. The guy who has 7 world records for crossing seas out in the ocean, he has them. Everybody that wants to peak their performance they go see this doctor. Now, the other people that see this doctor, because he only works from referrals, is like people who have $1 billion that have seen every doctor in the world. They don't have no answers, so they get referred to Dr. Keshkesh. So what he did is he took all of his patients for a whole year, which was about 1,200 patients. So some people had been vaccinated. He had the world's #1 golfer, 36-year-old woman who had been vaccinated, and she was all of a sudden going to shit. So, and you had but you had old people, you had all walks of life. What he did is looking with the world's most powerful electron microscope, a dark field microscopy, and
Yeah,
doing a
I
full
have
blood work. Yeah. And so every patient, what he did when they came to him, he said, hey, I got to take a look at your blood, and I got to send your blood off for testing. So he did full labs, anything that can be tested in the world over with blood and that. And so after he did that, then he had him do the Root Trinity pack for 30 days. Then
I'm
after
aware
that,
of
he got
Roots.
back. Yeah. And so as soon as that got back, not only were they everything 100% of the time on it. Now you got to understand, there's different levels of studies, right? So peer
I
reviewed
understand
study.
it. Yep.
Yeah. A peer reviewed study is the most credible, it's considered the best. It's a peer reviewed study. So he did a peer reviewed study on her product, and 100% of the time when they did the protocol, which, is Root Trinity, and with 0% side effects, they had perfect lab work, perfect everything. Their blood, and now a good portion of these people were vaccinated. A lot of people weren't. Right now, because we were launching different things, we've only focused on the Root because there's a certain way to kind of get this stuff out, right? I mean, obviously, this is nothing we're talking about is brand new, but no one's been able to really get it out to the masses without it being effed up beforehand. So that's been our process of learning how to let them build their research and everything they need to. And but yeah, getting the heavy metals out doesn't do it. Just shining a good electromagnetic and scalar waves doesn't do it by itself, because you got all that mucoid plaque, you got all those heavy metals that they're still there. So they got to get us to be our most divine state. We got that thing figured out. And we definitely have the right companies. All these people are beautiful people. They're all obsessed with changing the world. Not one damn one of them is about got to make money or this, that. Else they would be charging 150 for this, and we're not. They're not increasing their prices or nothing with any of it. And
Okay. One of the things I have to just put a caveat here. I'm aware of the Roots and the, Folium FX and stuff, like Roots and stuff like that. When you get into the nano zeolites and stuff like that, will have a certain thing, but they leave a residual. And I'm not sure if you're aware of Tony Pantalleresco. Okay. Tony Pantalleresco is a leading expert in nanotechnology. He was with the late Dr. Lena Freeland from Bye Bye Blue Skies and all the chemtrail stuff years ago. He's located in Windsor, Canada, and he runs Bead Plus Works there. One of the things he does, and one of the things also Patty Broussard, who's the sergeant in the U.S. Army of the NBC officer, which is your nuclear, biological, and chemical warfare experts, and was part of the Looking Glass and Stargate technology in Iraq and Freedom Team. Some of these things will go to a certain point and leave a residual. And one of the things is with the 6 and 7G that's coming out and 20G that's being built in Canada is when you're dealing with nano silvers or you're dealing with the zeolites and stuff, they can affect others' brains and they don't work on everyone's genetics properly. So there are some of us that are actually allergic to it, and it will have a rebound effect. A lot of these too, when you break them down, like
the Roots never had anybody have any side effects. And I've read every single thousands of testimonies. So if it was a real problem, it would have been coming up with any of that.
We got 270 studies on the zeolite nano. So that's what I'm saying.
Right. But no, but saying zeolite is kind of like saying vegetable. It's like, you don't know, like there's
talking the
a
nano
whole different grade
zeolite.
of zeolites and clinoptilolites.
Yeah, I'm aware of it. I really am.
Yeah.
So I'd like to take a look at that so that you're just aware of it.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole bunch of people. I don't care if it's Patty Greer stuff. I don't care if it's David stuff. There is stuff in there, and there is an issue.
I've been with them since their very inception. She actually came up with this stuff, and I've seen this stuff launch from day one. I've listened to every single testimony, and it's all it is miracles. So if I'm looking at thousands of people lining up and saying, here's how it miraculously changed everything about it's not TRS, it's not synthetic zeolite, it's not some zeolite that's actually not. This is nano emulsion biotechnology at its finest, mixed with orthosilic acid. and the highest grade clinic-tilolite zeolite. It's the most expensive zeolite that you can buy anywhere, and no one else is even using that highest level. And she's mixing it with the nanotechnology. And if
Yeah,
there
I've
was a
got them.
problem, we'd be seeing it.
I've got it radionically, so I've had it for years.
No.
Radionically, I'm aware. I want to say that let's just take a look at some of this. And if you're not, we've got to be careful in that, because there are people that are allergic to cannabis. Okay. And there's a difference between RH negative and RH positive. So, I mean, I can pull anything in there. I'm not saying it's not. I've used zeolite in my centers years ago and with the Genesis protocols and all that. But there is some stuff, and we just need to look at it, because the spectrum that's coming in up till this point, we didn't have 5 and 6G or 7G coming out our brains either when you're going into nanotechnology that's circulating in us.
Right.
Okay. And some of the people that I have, it has a certain level of it. So if I took a homeopathic, for some people it's better, but if it's some of us that are higher, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9D or 10D, it's going to drop us. So like I said, I get what you're saying. I'm totally for some of this. We need to move something in there as a chelation agent and on the radionic part, because it's not going to be as detrimental to someone. So I appreciate that. I've looked at the studies. I've looked at all your stuff inside and out, by the way. So I'm very pro what you're doing.
Yeah, there's no, I've never seen a product before that had literally as much anecdotal data on it. And I mean, they've had to, because they come after them. No one's come after a doctor, Dr. Ram, that same lady that formulated the root, she's the only one that has a patent on getting rid of chemtrails. She's the only one that has an active patent. They come after her very fiercely. That's the reason why she was real hesitant to want to be putting her name anywhere on it when it launched, because she knew the heat that they would come. But, absolutely. We'll take a look at it. Of course.
We'll in there. I went through all her stuff.
Never claimed that we know how to have any of the answers, all the answers. I never feel that, because that's the second we're all doomed. Right. So yeah, we should definitely get together and at least chat about it for sure.
I have your stuff. I have your protocols put into my Genius Biofeedback, by the way. So I can it's like radionically testing or muscle test. I have your products in my stuff.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so I'm with you.
So you're familiar with the
really
kinesiology and all that kind of, you're familiar with the kinesiology and all that kind of stuff. Okay. And the muscle testing.
I teach quantum medicine.
Doctor.
Okay, cool.
And
No,
a
perfect.
trainer.
I never know. I don't know everybody. I'm the new guy. I really am. So I don't really. It's hard. I don't ever know what level I can really, go onto a conversation and stuff like that. I just know that, we thank God have the best we have the highest form of technology with the best stuff out there, and it was all put together from day one, and it makes a big difference. When something with the intent, when something is to restore a human body, it becomes more effective just because of that intent. And so we have a whole lot of this stuff that that's the big deal that really Tank wanted to be able to do, is not be restricted on doing his part to restore the human being and the planet. And that's why, so, and we're there. But yeah, get a hold of me anytime so that we can, collaborate on it. So
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying in there. It's just like I said, I'm just, like I said, until you actually test it, like I said, I got lots of people, original peoples, like bloodlines, like RZ, like what you call the original blood types that are actually allergic to stuff, including stuff like cannabis. So like I said, it's for some things, and because a lot of us are star nations or mixed with other genetics or the root races and stuff, it like I said, that's just the only thing, on here. So I would like you to, or encourage you to take a look at that.
I do know. I've seen about 300 different blood tests that people have done right before they start taking it and right after, because Carolyn Mansfield, which is a really popular naturopath that's been on our show and been on other people's show, whenever they're doing blood work, they always take the blood. They're always looking at it. They always know what the person's blood stuff is. So if it's normal testing stuff, I mean, they've been there, done that. This isn't so new that it's like they have thousands of that stuff. But I don't know. You could be, if you're talking about something deeper than normal blood work that a naturopath would be looking with underneath a dark field microscopy. Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that any microscope is limited still in 3D. I don't care how deep the ocular is that we're cutting down and how many power times we're doing, you're still limited. So what I found they couldn't see was through the radionic. It's like LiDAR, right? Because you're doing it through sonic. And biophotonics is different than biosonics. So biosonics is more accurate. So that's all. And again, I see that, but it wasn't until I picked up some of the other stuff. So like I said, it's just something we need to be aware of as well. And because most naturopaths or live blood cell people in whether it's dark field or live field microscopy are not trained right across the board in the radionic aspect, right? And they just come from different things. One of the people I did save who's now going to be on through Conscious Fatality is Dr. Ross Anderson talking about the pandemic proof. So he was one that was bedridden on his deathbed for 3 weeks till I stepped in with our stuff with the contact vaccinosis. So it's not about getting heavy metals out. That's a no-brainer for all of us for the last couple decades, right? And it's about the DNA and when it's scrambling. And then we
Right.
have a problem with these people mixing in because you still get like a partial reptilian or whatever's going in. And if they start sleeping or try to procreate with the rest of our genetics, you're going to wipe out our entire genetic clans and tribes. And that's my big thing. Getting heavy metals is not a big deal. Genetic scrambling is. Okay.
Right.
So this is
Gene
a
editing.
genetic mitochondrial mtDNA issue that's no one's addressing. That's all. Anyway, thank you. You answered that question for me.
I'd like to, I see that Patty Broussard is, Patty, did you just join us? Is that, or no, that's Scotty joined us. I'm sorry, I thought that was Patty. I also, we were talking about one of the things that connected our other special guest, Kennedy Carr of Sarva Dharma, and Karen was, has been talking about the damage that's been being unleashed with the radiation and the elimination of the underground bases in the Northlands in Canada and elsewhere. And I know this is kind of a rough transition, but I especially invited Kennedy Carr onto the program to talk about his recent experience at the border between Mexico and the United States. And, we're talking about what we're all dealing with during these times. And so I'm going to ask Kennedy if I'm going to welcome you and ask you if you would please let us know what you've recently experienced and see how perhaps we can be of assistance. Thank you, everyone, for letting me do this transition. Welcome, Kennedy. You need to unmute.
Okay. Yeah, you there now? Can you
Yes.
hear me? Okay, yeah. Thank you for the pertinent information. If you notice right here, I got a little scalar generator right here in front of me. I'm living in San Diego, California right now. 5G towers all over the place, so I'm very prevalent to some of the technology. And some of the
Can you raise your volume at all, Kennedy?
Yeah, how about if I get a little closer?
That's good.
Can you hear me now? Yeah? Can
Yeah.
you hear me good? Okay, good. Yeah, what I have to say is pretty important. I have a pretty extensive background in producing conscious events, 25, pushing on 30 years. I know a lot of the educators, a lot of this technology you're talking about. Worked with Ross Spirit Festival, David Wolf extensively, all the top educators in the field of human awareness and personal growth. And during the pandemic, I decided to go down and retire down in Mexico because of the things that were going on in here in the United States, just the protocols that were being asked of us. And my mother was passing on in later ages, and she had been retired down there for about 25 years already. So it made sense to me to go ahead and move about, maybe I was about an hour south of the border, a little town called Ensenada, a little north of Ensenada. I had a beautiful little 2-bedroom house on the beach for $500 a month. You know, I was living Southern California lifestyle like you back in the old days. In the 90s, you could rent something similar to that in Ocean Beach, California, but now that same place is now $1,500 to $2,000 a month for a 1-bedroom house. So I moved to Mexico during this pandemic, and was going pretty well. Got to familiarize myself with the community. I was in a little surfing village called Playa San Miguel. Like I said, my place was right on the beach. And last month, you know, I was hanging out around my little casita and had been seeing this one particular girl for 4 or 5 times I was fairly attracted to, and she came over to the house and we were shooting the shit, and she brought her friends over, and hey, Kennedy, we think could you help us? And I said, do what? And she said, well, you know, a lot of our families have been sent back to Mexico. People have been living in the United States upwards to 30 years. Have been sent back to Mexico. I mean, families have been split up all over the place, DACA, everything. So my heart, my compassion went out to these people, and I was open to doing a humanitarian type of mission. And they asked me if I could bring some money back to their families down in Mexico. And I said, well, you know, as long as it's legal, and I don't have a problem with, you know, supposedly you're able to bring back upwards of $10,000, no more than $10,000. I said, you know, if this is legit and there's no funny business, it's not linked to any type of drug money or anything. Oh, no, 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 no. And these were elderly women. I mean, we're talking grandmothers. I did not suspect any foul play from them at all. A lot of the women were, you know, around in the 50s, pushing up in the age and as well as weight, but they all seemed very grounded, like mamacitas. So I was willing to help them. And at the time, my van was needed some work on it, and I needed to make a border run. And I got one of the ladies that had an apartment in Chula Vista in San Diego. So I got a car just coming out of the shop. I had some work done on. I needed driven back to San Diego. Maybe you'd be willing to drive that. I said, well, sure. So I get in the car. They come and meet me on a Wednesday, 4 of them, 4 mamacitas, grandmas. And my mother had just passed away 3 months ago, and I had inherited her little toy poodle. So here I am, a retired gringo. I'm 65 years old. I just started receiving Social Security and Medicare and all the good things that come in with the golden years. And I'm cruising along in a nice Acura, fully licensed, everything. It seemed totally legit. And I'm cruising up to the Otay Mesa border and I have no problems. I mean, the ladies even took me out to lunch and we were laughing and joking. And one of them stuck $100 in my pocket and they took me out to lunch in Rosarito. And, felt real good, felt right. Well, when I got up to the border, could you pop your trunk, Mr. Carr? I handed him my passport and driver's license. But sure, no problem. And went around the car and little flashlight, looked into all the door panels all the way around. And next thing you know, there's 6 Homeland Security people standing over the top of me and telling me to get out of the car and put my hands behind the back. And you're under arrest. So what? Well, they took me back into the holding cell. I spent 24 hours with one of those metal aluminum space age blankets on a metal piece of metal bench. Slept on that and ate a cup of soup, treat for lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Finally went out to the receiving center where they were going to book me into, and asked me if there's anything wrong with you. And I said, well, it's, I'm an older gentleman and I do have an enlarged prostate. So, let's get you checked out. So they sent me to the hospital and shackled me to the bedpost and put a catheter on me and IV. And there I sat for 5 days. And then after 5 days, they took me back to the detention facility in downtown San Diego for basically federal jail. And there I sat for another 2 weeks. I wasn't able to have any phone calls for the first 2 weeks I was there, which is all new to me. I'd been arrested for probably 35 years. And back then, it was all dial up and, you were able to make 2 phone calls when you got arrested. Not the case anymore. Takes 2 weeks. I was in quarantine for a week, COVID-19 quarantine, before I even was able to get to a telephone call and join general population. Was there for 2 weeks until I was finally bailed out. I'm charged with possession of narcotics. There was about 48 kilos of methamphetamine that was put in the car. I'm charged with possession of it. Now, I don't know if you know who I am, but I'm pretty well known in the conscious world of producing world sacred music events, facilitating workshops and lectures and bracing the. When I worked with Raw Spirit, and that's where I met David. Initially, I was in charge with curation and stage management, and I would book over 100 educators on 7 different stages. And it's like, wow. And well, nobody really wanted to bail me out because they thought because there was so much of the narcotics that the cartel was involved, and they probably were. And finally, my friend that did bail me out talked to my attorney, and my attorney told her that the cartel send over 100 cars every day. 50 of them make it, 50 of them don't. My number just happened to have been up, I guess, and I was one of the 50 that didn't make it. Eventually got out on bail. But one of the things that I came to a realization while I was in there, which used to be predominantly Black, is now turned into predominantly Latino. I was probably 8%, if that, whites, and probably 6% Black. Like I said, it's all Latino. Some of these people that are in the federal jail are first-time offenders of coming back and trying to enter into the United States, are getting sentenced to 4 to 8 years. I'm taking a look at that. I'm starting to think, who's paying for all this? Then I started thinking about methamphetamine. That's made from nasal decongestants, made by Big Pharmacy. Big Pharma. They control a lot of the politicians on both sides of the border. Ephedra is the predominant drug that is in methamphetamine. It's regulated here in the United States, but it's deregulated in Mexico. So the same politicians that are receiving money from lobbyists and so forth are the same politicians that are advocating or part of the manufacturing of methamphetamine. When you start even looking at it even deeper, look at all the detention facilities and all the women and children have been held into the detention facilities and on the borders from Texas to California. And the jails are filled with nothing but Latinos, first-time offenders, and getting 4 to 8 years. And you're looking at all the people who are jailing them, all these police officers are making $60,000 to $80,000 a year. I mean, when I was in the hospital, they had 2 armed guards right outside my door while I was shackled to the bed. And I'm saying, I'm looking at this movie and I said, where is all this money? And they would be joking outside my hospital bed how much overtime they were getting. It's like, there's got to be something wrong with this movie. Who made, and then I started thinking about the pandemic and how much money the pharmaceuticals companies have made from the pandemic. I mean, it seems like they've just kind of taken over the world. How did we let the pharmaceutical companies become the law of the land? How does this happen? How can we make it stop? I mean, there's a lot of innocent people. I mean, grandmothers. Nowadays, they're putting magnets underneath when you're crossing over the border, getting in the line, they're putting up, they run up underneath the cars and putting up boxes full of drugs and putting it on a magnet under a car with innocent people, and they're going to jail. Can you imagine having your mother or your grandmother come up to the border and have a couple pounds of methamphetamine or heroin or whatever drug they decide to put inside that container, arrested, booked, and locked up for a month in a federal jail? And we're talking I was in jail with, career criminals, you know. I was put in there with the Peckerwoods, the whites, swastikas all up and down their neck, shaved heads, all of them had goatees. So I'm out now, and I go to court on the 3rd. They want to give me 4 years, and best they might be able to do is because of my age and because I haven't been in trouble for over 35 years, I might do 2. But you know something, I'm not going to cop to any of this. I'm not going to cop a plea. I'm going to fight this all the way. I told my attorney, I said, I'm going to fill that courtroom with over 100 people. I've already received a couple of 100 letters from people from 5 different continents, because I've been a promoter in the business of conscious music and educators. I've produced 19 Bhakti Fest and Shakti Fest. Produced a camp at Burning Man called Sacred Space Village for 10 years, and helped turn that Babylonian festival into almost all the camps are now going to the spiritual side. So it's like, I think we got to say something. We got to do something. Not let big pharma take over. I mean, it's like Nazi Germany, you guys. It really is. It brings tears to my eyes when I see it. My heart and compassion go out to the Mexican people, because they're over there making $2 an hour, maybe $150 a week. And when they see a gringo come over there, we're all targets for this type of behavior. And so that's where I'm gonna be advocating is to bringing in some awareness to what the situation has caused, and it's big business on both sides. I mean, if you look at the penal system and where's that money come from? So they're just filling the jails up with, down here on the border town of San Diego. There's like, I was in I would say it's about probably a 20-story high jail, and each floor has got tiers of 50 people with I'd say 200 people per story, and the thing is overflowing. And you're not even looking at county jail. I mean, the border situation here, folks, has just gotten out of hand. It breaks my heart that we let this happen, and we believed, not to say the pandemic or COVID-19 was real or it was not. I haven't gotten vaccinated. I don't tend to get vaccinated. And that's one of the reasons why I was in Mexico, because of the protocol. Everybody has to go get vaccinated. My mother, who was in, convalescent center in the hospital, I wasn't able to really go see her because I wasn't vaccinated. And then finally, when she went into hospice, they finally let me in the night before she died, and I was able to hold her hand and tell her how much I loved her. So that's what happened. And if you're in the San Diego area, come June 3rd, or if you happen to know me and watching this show, contact me directly, and any letters, support. If you want to come down to the courthouse on my hearing, more than welcome. And got my good friend Makeda Dredd that I've worked with World Beat Cultural Center for 20, 30 years, helped her produce the Bob Marley Festival. And many events. I used to do 10, 20 events a year at the World Beef Cultural Center in Balboa Park. It's going to be assisting me in some benefits and raising awareness and bringing the message to people, because she helps a lot of those families in Barrio Logan. A lot of these families who've been split up. My attorney it was really ironic. I didn't get to see him until for about 2 weeks. And when he finally did see me, hands me his card. I look at it, it says Jesus. I said, Jesus, I've been praying to you for 2 weeks now. He says, well, it just happens to be Good Friday. So I finally got bailed out on May 4th. May the 4th be with you. And which the following day was Cinco de Mayo, the day of liberation. So I see it as a very archetypal situation that I got myself in, and I'm embracing it. And, you know, as far in my past experience, as far deep as I've ever gone into the darkness, has always assisted me in catapulting me to ascending even higher. So I'm embracing this situation, using it to my fullest ability, to take that plunge and ascend the heights I've never ever had experienced before. So thank you for inviting me on the show.
Thank you for sharing. I'm just wondering if there's any questions or comments from anyone here at council. Karen?
Kennedy, it's a pleasure to meet you, actually. I really feel for your situation there. There's so much stuff going on. In talking not that long ago to the people that were in Kelowna, like Dr. Ross Anderson, they also fled. A lot of, I was using Canadians, but whatever, they fled down to go to Mexico because of the, draconic measures that were being done up here, especially in British Columbia. And so he too had several incidents at the border. They still won't allow some of the medical equipment in because he went with Dr. Daryl Wolf out of Kelowna, and they set up that clinic in Extampa. So they've now since split their ways, and there's 2 different centers going on. He may have be some help to you, as is Rishak Lightwan. They also left this area to set up quantum centers. And Rishak's over there in Baja right now. One of the ones that comes to mind in the San Diego area, I went down there, so I'm quite well aware. And I watched the border through another friend, Dark Sky Watcher, and what's going down at the border. It is insanity. Also because of the children which are being sent up here through the coyote system, as you're aware. So 80 to 90% of the children coming through the borders are not even DNA connected to who's being brought through with these caravans. And most people are not aware of that, So your situation is a little bit different there. While I was down there with Dr. Richard Bartlett through Matrix Energetics and Melissa Johnson out of San Diego, I was brought to Dr. Hector Garcia. So all those people I'm very well tapped into and connected to, as well as Eric Dadner, who set up with David Fahid and Dr. Robert Sarr and all those guys that were part of the Life Conscious Expo. Yeah. We go back a long time. But I'm just thinking that might be of some help there. Eric Dadmer as well, because he was helping set up those in 5Ds. He's very well tapped into. Eric Dadmer is known as Eric the Healer, but he was the one that gave Jesse Ventura, we were the original whistleblowers, all the information about the FEMA camps and the coffin liners. So that came through Eric. I would contact Eric Dadmer, DADMEHR, and see if he can get you some assistance. And he's the one also doing the in 5D events, which I was a conference speaker at, like at the expo till about 2012. So, but Erica and I are still in a lot of contact with that. So I'm trying to think he might have some contacts to help with this. This is really, the other thing too is Judge Alfred Weber, because he does international law. I mean, actually, we're teaching him that a little bit, but he's got a lot of contacts too, because he's the Juris Doctor. He did the Kuala Lumpur for war crimes. He's a war crimes judge. So if it has to do with COVID, or it has to do with some of that sort of stuff, he might be helpful. And his email is peace@peaceinspace.org.
I'll follow up with Lisa afterwards and connect with you on some of the stuff rather than
Yeah,
take my time.
just
but
the-
Sure.
Yeah, it's such a tragedy. Like people just aren't, aware of the whole ramifications of
Innocent
what we
people
can
are
see.
4 to 8 years.
Yeah,
First-time offenders. Good people. I was in
Yeah.
a holding cell with this 60-year-old gentleman, had been a captain and been on boats and had been all over the world. And, he was in there the first time he'd ever been, and was looking at 4 to 8 years, the later stage.
Yep. Part of it is knowing international law, and that's maybe Tim's got a little bit of background in that too. Moon will have a little bit in there as well, because as a national from whatever we call premier first world law or law of the land, law of the nations, right, is different there, and it was based on bloodline. Do you know your blood type offhand?
About what?
Blood type, do you know that offhand? Because there's an Eldon card, ELDON. So Eldon cards can be obtained for $20, $30. So you don't have to go
Right.
through them and give them DNA and find out what the blood type is. Okay, because there's a distinction, like, are you with treaty, in treaty, not treaty, or whatever. And that's where maybe we could help. Patty Broussard might be able to assist too, because of her background with the US military, but yeah. And they can't be technically, they don't have the jurisdiction over us, but then you have to assert your own jurisdiction as a national, as opposed to, an American citizen or a private, public, whatever, but then that's when you got to also learn how to ditch the legal barristers and solicitors, which are technically foreign agents right now. So
the pirates, but
pirates of the high sea, exactly. So I feel for you. I've been there. When I first started going up, I had my arm broken by a sheriff because I told him I was a naturopath, but I was protecting my children that were still on the outskirts of called the Martinsville case. Up here, it's one of the most famous child Epstein kind of things here. So I know what you've been through, and it's not fun. But the other thing too, it was when you think to call the Crown Attorney or the Attorney General down there, call them yourself and see what it takes to release it, because they will release stuff. So you have to be your own advocate, your own lawyer.
yeah, Kennedy, I just wanted to interject there, Karen. There are specific steps, actions that you can take.
Yeah.
That you won't go to jail. Like, just understand this, okay? Everyone that goes to jail consented. They're there by their own consent. Now, the very first indication of that, for example, is you've got an attorney, you've got a lawyer, right? So you are his client, correct?
He's handled over 500 cases like this, so I feel confident with him.
I don't doubt it, but my point is, you're his client.
Yeah.
So that means you are a ward of the court, because he is an officer of the court.
Yes.
Right. You're a child, you're an imbecile.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how to talk for yourself, right?
Right.
What I'm getting at is, this is the legal perspective, right? Understand, this is just law. That means if you're a child, a minor, you can't take care of yourself, you need a guardian to be appointed to take care of you. Guess who that is? That guy sitting in the black robe. He'll take care of you, won't he? For your own good, you're going to spend 4, maybe 8, whatever years in jail. You only go to jail if you consent to go to jail. I'll tell you that straight up, man. And by having an attorney, you've already consented. You're under their jurisdiction by the very act of having an attorney. You understand what I'm saying, right?
Exactly.
You've got to learn to speak for yourself, my friend. But all the power, the law is on your side. So if you've not come across anything like in regards to law, there's a lot that people aren't aware of, really. The rights that they actually do have, how to present themselves, speak for themselves, right? That can be done. So anyway,
Thank you very much.
if you want to learn more,
I've heard my friend, I don't know if he's going to be on later, but Hippie Mike He basically said a lot of the same thing. I've heard this basically taking that stance from a couple of
It-
different friends.
Yeah, if you present yourself as an emissary, as a friend of the court, right? And as a national, that's a different thing. Remember, nations are run by clan mothers. Slaves are run by countries and presidents of corporations. Okay,
Yes.
so that's another
As
thing.
I said, there's
Yep.
many different things that you can do, Kennedy. There's
Yeah.
many ways to skin a cat, okay? There's the
Yeah.
American citizen, there's a national of the state national, there's all different ways you can present yourself. And I say that specifically like that because it is a world of law to the letter of the law. And you are whoever you say you are.
Right.
Now, if you really comprehend what I just said there, you are whoever you say you are. So depending on how you present yourself will determine the actions that can and will be used against you, for example, whether they have jurisdiction or not. Because in actuality, they don't have jurisdiction. But like I said, unless you take certain steps, there's many things you can do, my friend, really is.
Yeah,
I can give you some videos, people's that will start explaining. Like, I mean, I don't know how much you know about the birth certificate being a bond. You're aware of that? Yeah, right. That's where all the finances come for everything. It's not people's taxpayers' dollars, all that imaginary world people are living in that they think is real isn't. None of it. The IRS belongs to the Crown of England. People's taxpayers' money goes straight to England. The US is still a colony of England.
Not anymore.
Nothing's fucking changed. Yes, it is, Karen, actually.
No, we've dissolved the trust, and that's Patty Broussard's part of that. That's the quantum system. They have been arrested. The Queen is dead. And there's a lot of things that the public doesn't know. So
It
there's a
might
lot
very
of
well
things-
be the case, but at the
That is
moment,
the-
as far as the public is concerned, on public record, the Queen isn't dead. She might be,
Well,
but at the moment, we're not publicly aware of that formally. So she isn't. And the Queen never dies anyway, just like long live the King, as you well know. You're talking law here. As to dissolving trusts, you can't dissolve a trust that you're not a party to. So I'll take that with a grain of salt.
Well,
there's a
that's
few
where you
other
need to
things
talk
that
to
I
Patty
would,
Broussard and Special
negotiate.
Forces. Yeah, tribal
I have no
forces have done
problem
it.
doing that. Like I said, and there's a few other points I could discuss, Karen, that I disagree with some things I've heard. But I'm not going to do that right now either. Kennedy, as I said, there's a number of different things, methodologies you can use. You are whoever you say you are, however you present yourself. See, by that, there's also the fact, my friend, that you are the direct descendant of a legitimate tribe and government. You come from a tribe. And that tribe has signed treaty in the past with the Romans, the civilized. Because if you understand that, like people talk of the bloodlines and things, all the royal houses of Europe, all the presidents of the United States, all of them, they're all Romans. They are the Romans, who were the Greek royalty before that. It goes back to like Phoenician times. Same fucking crew for thousands of years. They've got dynastic libraries that go back 3,000 years.
I'm familiar with what you're talking about. Done some
Yeah.
production.
See, by that though, being a tribal being is you're a savage. And as a savage, they have zero jurisdiction over you. They're actually there to protect you. Like I said, you are whoever you say you are. There's a lot of different ways you can present yourself. The supreme law of the land under the creator's law is that you're a savage, a barbarian, as they would call us in Europe. The Romans, the barbarians, if you ever seen any movies about Romans fighting barbarians, trying to take their lands? Well, still going on.
Yeah.
And that's your centurions, pirates, and their cruisers on the high seas. None of it's what it seems, right? In reality. But anyway, there's a lot you can learn.
I believe that they have the law of the land and they're doing everything to maintain that power. And
Yes, they
convince
don't.
people that they have that power, but really they don't.
No, not at all. They don't actually at all. As I said, you actually only go to jail if you consent, my friend.
You have to-
internalize that,
I do not consent.
because
Can
that's,
I-
you know what I mean? That's the case. That is the matter of the case, fact of the matter. Everyone's in there by consent. They just don't realize it, and then, you know, agree to it. Do you understand? What's your name? Where do you live? You know, these are all trick questions, right?
Yeah.
That give him power over you, depending on how you answer them and how you present yourself even. I mean, even turning up in court grants jurisdiction to the court, right? If there's a fault in the name, it's corrected by the appearance of the body.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is there are things that you say, it's how you present yourself. If you're making a special optional appearance, that means you are there because you have an interest in the matter, but you are not the defendant in the matter, which is the case, isn't it? Because you're the living, breathing man, aren't you, right?
Absolutely.
And the person, the dead entity, all uppercase letters, is what's been charged, isn't it? See, that's not you, is it?
No.
No, right? So you have an interest in the matter because they're trying to pin you, create joinder to that person for you to pay the bill of that person, right?
Yeah.
So special optional appearance, that means you're there, you're interested in the matter. So you get to speak in the matter because you've got an interest in the matter, but you're not the defendant in the matter.
Black's Law.
Yeah. There's a lot of things you can read. Black's Law is a very good dictionary. Black's Law, early edition, the better. Yeah. Like that's a straight up solid read right from A to Z. There's so much lore in there that that guy explains. That alone would give you a formidable legal
It would
knowledge.
give you a ground. I just wanted to say that we can actually do something else here. Well, because we have clan mothers here and we have the emperor. We can hold a council. Oh, we are. That's amazing. Anyway, I get really self-conscious in front of cameras, but I'll make this brief. We can set up a call and hear the matter, okay? As a council, we can render judgment and we can also question you. I can see by your confidence, consciousness, spiritual awareness, you're not party to this action, and that any assumption or presumption that you have has got to be proven. And it has to be proven to your ability to accept corporate fiction nonsense. But anyway, you've got to change your perspective now because the world's getting crazy. We're being farmed. I agree with everything you were saying. I did not have a dispute in any of your words. It's obvious to me that you're honest and have integrity, and that you appear to be someone who's pleased by helping others. These are qualities that we need among us, people who can think of all others. Anyway, I would offer my time. We could hold an official council and do a reading into who's here and who has land authority. I don't see you as a man who's manipulating anybody. I see you as a man who's being manipulated. It's also true that there are those dark things out there that set up an attack and overwhelm those who are conscious, those who are trying to struggle with what is true. That's not a crime. Anyway, at the end of the day, whatever the decision comes out to be from us, the clan mothers and myself, and those who are participating and acting in the interests of all those concerned, we'll render our decision and you play that to the court. Okay? Because it means we've already judged you.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't know about the tribal side though and stuff. So
Right. But at the end of the day,
yeah,
someone's got to bring him up to speed.
yes. What I'm pointing out to him is that you may not be aware of all the like I've been explaining to you about the savage and how you present yourself, and that you are the direct descendant of a tribe that signed a legitimate treaty in the past, is international law, which comes from the law of nations, which, as Karen said, the law of nations, if you read Vattel's Law of Nations, is a very good read. And by that, I mean, he tells you everything in there, but it's one of those things that you need to know what it is that you're reading before you read it, to know what it is that you're reading, right? Because he does tell you in there that it is clan mothers, and he explains about nations and everything else. But clan mothers are the sovereigns, head clan mothers. All it is it's a matrilineal way of living, how we all used to live. The women ran things. There was a head clan mother of a clan, right? You imagine, like, on your mum's side, your great grandmother, like the old grandmother that run the family, the head clan mother. It's natural. It comes from nature. Because if you look at nature, this is in Vattel's Make a Rational Observation, you can deduce of nature, like you can deduce. If you look at nature, look at the natural world, look at the animal kingdom, what do you find? Queen bee, queen ant, geese when they fly, head lead female, deer, moose, elk, all have a head female. The wolf, alpha male, yeah. There's an alpha female that actually runs the pack, right? So in nature, the system of government you find is that of a matriarchal one. Savage comes from the word silvictus. Silvictus means those who live amongst the trees. So you're a savage means you live amongst the trees. If you're living amongst the trees, then you're living under the natural law. And what did we just deduce is the law of nature, natural law? When you look at animal societies, they have head clan mothers. So if that's your system of government, and that's who you are, then you're not in the United States, you're not in Canada, you're on the territory of the tribe, whoever's, tribe's territory you're on right now, because all of North America and Canada, as they call it, is Indian land. It literally still is, not figuratively, but in actuality. Because the United States never beat the Indian, signatory Indian, in warfare. The last example of that was a little thing called the Battle of the Little Bighorn, I believe they called it, right? Who went to war there? The United States Cavalry. They sent 4 armies to that war. In fact, it was March 6th, 1876, I believe was the year, right? Yeah. Congress, you can check this up in the congressional records, United States Congress declared war on signatory chiefs and Indians. So you see, it was a formal declaration of war from Congress, because Congress is what deals with other nations, isn't it? Amongst the government of the United States. It's the international branch, right? Deals with other nations. There's a formal declaration of war by the United States against signatory chiefs and Indians. So that means it was a foreign nation, acknowledged, recognized as such. They followed proper protocols. They formally declared war on them. Because at this point, you see, the Dakota had been on the run, living in the wild and that, no food, cut off from supplies and things for like 50 years. And the United States government figured now that they could probably beat them in warfare. So they declared war and they sent 4 armies. And as I said, the American Indian has never actually been defeated in warfare. What that means is they still hold title to their territory. Their clan mothers' sovereignty remains unextinguished. And that's why the white man, the civilized, when I say white man, I'm not talking about the color of the skin. There can be black men, yellow men, red men that are white men. You walk into a courtroom, see an Indian judge, that's a white man. He's upholding the civilized Roman rule of law. That's where his allegiance lies. So that's what he is. You are whoever you say you are, right? Wherever you pledge your allegiance. So if you pledge your allegiance to your head clan mother, that's your law. And that is a sovereign. That is what the royal houses of Europe recognize and acknowledge as sovereigns. It's the only thing they acknowledge as sovereigns. Other clan mothers. Because like Meredith says,
I'm
don't
not
kid
sure
yourself.
though, whether or not we can help Kennedy in the next 18 days to implement.
Oh, absolutely, you could.
Well, one of the
Yeah.
things I just want to interject, you guys, I like I said, I want to use this opportunity to really educate people, and it sounds like what you folks are talking about just needs to be shared. And because
It does, actually.
that I am such a public figure that I am, I believe that this is going to, get a lot of merit. Either that, or they're just going to see what's coming at them. They're just going to dismiss the case.
And I think
Kennedy.
in here too, just Matt would know this because he knows of the background that we talk about with the Star Nations. This is not a national thing that people always just think because they're thinking in terms of the country. But Matt is well aware, as Kim Grogan. So Patty Broussard actually is the one that claimed to have actually killed Marduk. And until you actually know the actual background to the Star Nations and those galactic treaties, they supersede also what's going on here. So that's where Patty
No, they do
don't.
not. That's
don't
your
need a-
opinion.
I don't
That is
need a
your
yelling at-
opinion. You
I don't need
present me
yelling
with
at-
those treaties. Show me who they were signed by, where they get the authority. If they're signed by the clan mothers down here, then there would be maybe some validity to what you are saying. If they
They're
are
on
not,
the-
Karen, well, present them.
I said
Otherwise,
those
no, they
particular,
do not.
if you'd quit being so angry and just keep your voice
I'm not
down for a
angry.
minute.
I'm just disappointed in some of the
No,
stuff that
you
I
need
hear.
to look at some of the stuff too, that as I'm sitting here right now with special forces and JTF and people that are on and off this planet in the space program, they hold treaties that are held in different places, and Patty Broussard is one of those keepers of those records. As Kim Grogan and other people have been doing with
And the
Marduk,
point
they
is
had, the point is there are
jurisdiction.
treaties, and that's what I'm saying, the jurisdiction. And that's where
Right.
the difference comes through the blood lineages, and even with Kennedy, that's why.
Do you know that the clan mothers
I'm not
here,
done- I'm
by
not
doing
done speaking.
ceremonies at the appointed times, are responsible for the timing of the synchronization of the universe?
I am
Karen?
well aware that I am
On
also
that
been
case, you
involved.
understand that this is the supreme point of
I
origin.
I am well
You
aware.
ladies time the synchronization of the universe
I am
by
well
doing
aware.
ceremonies on time from this planet. Think about that. There's nothing
I
that
have-
comes from outside that supersedes here, my friend.
Brother Mary, you
Well,
guys keep talking
There are
over
different
people.
things that are done in joint council, and that's something that we do with joint council and earth representation to the galactic star nations.
Just gonna
And
grab a
that's
coffee.
something that most people don't know about. And I don't have to understand it, I overstand it. So that's part of the thing too, that Matt's well of, and until people know about this stuff. So Kennedy, mine would be is to find out what your actual blood type is, because there were treaties that were held. For example, the Draco, the Orions, and the Greys, they are what's deemed illegal or hostile aliens. They no longer have existing treaties. And that was part of the councils I met with these star nations back in 2013 to dissolve them. So stuff that was held up to that point is no longer in existence. And there are some galactics that are allowed to be here, and they're very benevolent. Right now, there's that we need to take care of, because there's a lot of what we call benevolent ETs or galactics here. And even the quantum financial systems are all being dealt with stuff, whether we like it or not, from other areas. And that's where we have to be open to some of that. So a lot of this stuff that was in place is no longer what's going on. So for example, I'm well aware that Queen Elizabeth and certain bloodlines and who her replacement is by the councils, the Draco princesses and stuff, aren't in existence. So I don't care what the public knows or doesn't know. The bottom line is the people running the place, just like Matt would know through Stefan and through Kim Grogan, who actually does.
No,
And
the
that's
point of
what
it
we need to
is,
deal with
as the
that is-
public knowledge record at the moment is that Queen Elizabeth is alive, then she is in force and effect alive, regardless of whether she's dead is
No,
immaterial, because
No,
the public record, you understand, it's the public
No, I don't.
record. Well,
No.
no, I know you don't. You also don't understand that overstanding and understanding are two different things, and that there are things that you do ought to understand if you want.
Well, maybe I
protection
understand
of
it
them.
at this point. I'm gonna, as I told Lisa, I've got a limited amount of time today, which I've gone again overtime. And my suggestion is, Kennedy, is to contact also Commander Sergeant Patty Broussard. She's in the Massachusetts, but in the
I
Micmac.
appreciate it. I'm
And
really
because you've got
appreciating this.
access to the Galactics.
Awesome.
And when we limit ourselves to
I
what's
see
on this
myself, I've
jurisdiction,
resonated. I've
Yeah.
resonated and seen myself as a galactic starseed commander.
exactly, I'm a
call myself
starseed as
that.
well.
And some of the things that I've been entitled to oversee is definitely given me merit to claim that title. Is,
Yeah.
you know, I can carry books from the tribe of the bird, the bird tribe, and all his books were just like totally
Right.
resonated with me. I've read everything he wrote. And so
Yeah.
I'm definitely a starseed commander without a doubt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the thing is, not
I
everyone
would love to
is
see
here
what
from,
Kim Gogan, what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
yeah,
Because
Patty is aware of that,
definitely
and this,
resonate.
yeah, he
resonate.
said that, Kim's got to get stuff to do with the clans and stuff and recognize that, and I am part of that different thing to try and get that, because not everyone does actually descend here from a legitimate tribe and clan, because there are lots of illegal aliens, hybridization. We have other things like clones. 70% of the people here do not descend from a legitimate clan and tribe. And that's just the demographics of the way it is. So the people that are in Area 51s or cloning or walk-ins and things like that, this is a soul thing that has very little to do with the earthly jurisdiction and the 3D constraints. So when we move into like a 9D kind of perspective, or 8D, or 90, whatever those fires, that might be it. Anyway, I would like to spend more time, but I literally am long land. I'm setting up the prep centers here.
I'll get in
Yeah.
touch with you and follow up.
Yeah,
on that.
and I think Eric and those people in there would be very helpful. And if I could assist in some way, I know Matt and I have got a lot of different connections that way, genetics and scalar wave and stuff like that. We're setting up so that I can actually remote in, or any of us can remote in, but we can do stuff and try and clear that, because I know what it's like. I've been in there. I know 200 ways what not to say to a judge, because everything that I did is when I dropped the lawyers. My ex was a lawyer, by the way. The top lawyer in Canada is my cousin, by the way, as well. But, we're going after a lot of these things like the Pinkton farms and the trafficking and the child stuff here. That's my foremost jurisdiction. And in dealing with, like I said, the Q command contacts me. Okay, so in order for them to move into the Canadian or the American dumps, they had to contact me. So I'm in connection with those chiefs of staff. Okay, so they come to me because of my recognized authority and jurisdiction. And so I gave it to them. So I get briefed, and I usually get briefed by Galactic Council. So if there's a problem with the Earth's magnetic field and the soul system or the soul gate or the gatekeepers, I get a call. Okay, so of little consequence to what happens on these little bands and reserves. Most of them are in illegal contracts and illegal aliens. For example, I have an Orion base here. I have a Palladian base there. The Dakotas were technically Palladians and Tagatans, so this whole thing about Indian stuff. So once you know the galactic background, it puts a little different spin onto it. And that's where I have to deal with. I'm the one dealing with that Draco Queen replacement. Because right now we're the ones that put her into a military lockup facility. So yeah, it does matter. I don't care what the public knows or doesn't know. It's our jurisdiction and our responsibility to have them executed, which is what we're doing. And if I can assist you down the road, I will, but those will be it. But thank you very much, because I do have a previous thing. Thank you, Lisa, again.
Well, I had it on mute. I was going to say yes, because you're saying a lot of things that I disagree with. You're claiming things that you have no authority to claim, Karen. And what I said is, and as long as you always remember, you are subject to the clan mothers of the territory of the land that you are on. Yes, and that is why I'm telling you, your galactic treaties, everything else, whatever, is immaterial in regards to the supreme law of the land.
We were the founders and the
Supreme
progenitors, the
law
Star Nations.
of the land.
We were the
Karen,
progenitors of the original
period.
gardeners of this
And that
planet.
is the clan mothers. And you are on Indian territory if you're in
Not-
North
Galactics
America.
are the progenitors, so you need to talk to Patty Broussard and obviously the Force.
No, I don't, because I know whose land it is and who owns what. So on that matter, let's just agree
Yeah,
to
yeah.
disagree.
Okay, you guys are going to agree to
my friend
disagree.
goes back to, he's actually.
I'm going to
Yeah.
ask Gloria Jara has had her hand up for quite a while. And I'm going to ask Gloria to speak. And hopefully it's related to this topic. Gloria?
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Well, I wanted to share about, the invasion of this, the taller island of Abdayala, what we call Abdayala, 500 years ago, where our ancestors who were, called Spanish, they came, but I learned, lately that the Spanish actually, they were from many countries, in Europe. So
Okay.
they were, some of them, they were maybe from Rome, from Italy, from Portugal, from France. They came also from probably, from the what they call la Peninsula de Iberia, so on. Okay. So I wanted to say that, but learning about the history, it was that the Romans, actually, Roma was invaded. And Roma was invaded by a caste, like caste people, like the clans
Yeah.
that maybe like, Manchurians, Mongolians, and, all these empires that was in the past, the King Empire, the Han Empire, and so on and so forth. They are all sons of reptilians, what they call sons of the dragons or sons of the serpents.
Okay.
So this caste system who managed to rule Asia and, in what you call now Europe for thousands of years, they took over Rome. So, and they killed the first Romans who were corrupt by themselves also. But they changed the elites to rule, all the Roman Empire, and expanded into a new empire that you are well known about, this history, taking over Africa. So in Africa, they did the same. They keep destroying, like the civilizations. And there is a video, very, very beautiful explained that, there's an investigation that's called The Last History of Earth. It was on YouTube. They keep erasing. But if you keep looking, maybe you can find them. See, it's called The Lost History of Earth, which shows the reality and the technology that all these European people had it. And these new invaders, actually, they took over. And something happened that they call like maybe it was a flood into these beautiful cities that they have electricity, they have everything already, set in place. But it was like a flood that, and maybe that where the people got killed, many people was killed. And on top of that, it was also a genocide taking over, all Europe, and then, expanded to Africa, Middle East, and all of that. So why I'm mentioning this? Because Roma become known as the pagan Catholic religion, which came to this continent and justified the killing and the murdering, the genocide of the indigenous people. So most of the people from Europe, they are not from here. They don't have no connection with the blood, blood with the people here. Because my ancestors who were Spanish or Arabs, because they were all a family back then, they mixed, they came only men and slaves of the pirates, of the ships, the pirate ships that came from Rome. The Pope of Rome provide all those ships, to come here to the New World with the drugs. They was bringing all these drugs and the slavery. That is the beginning of what they call, the civilization. What they call civilization, which is all the opposite is the uncivilized trafficking with humans from Africa to Europe, to Italy, to Rome, bringing Africans to Rome or Europe. And then this they call themselves as Jews, you know, but these Jews actually they were a mix of Mongolians, Turkish, Ashkenazis, Safaritas, and they were devil worshippers because they always carry in their blood all these, you know, these costumes that is vampire. They live out of human flesh and human blood. Why is so important what I'm talking? Because, you know, they set themselves in Brazil, and all the human traffic that's been taking place with the Rockefellers, you know, all these families that are here, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and, you know, they have been taking all the resources from stealing the Amazons, you know, with the gold, there was the, you know, the diamonds and all these, you know, treasures that they stole it. And they, by 1960, I think they began with the petroleum. So the discovery of the petroleum, it gives them all the monopoly, you know, over taking over the governments in each nation. And with that goal, they have been, you know, destroying actually the whole planet with the discovery of the nuclear weapons stolen from the indigenous. So I wanted to say that all these games, even the games that the system, you know, the football, the basketball, the tennis, all this shit, all these games are being run by Masons, by the secret societies. So they, you know, this is why they control the mind of people with invention of TV. So you see the sacrifices that is taking places, you know, not before the Ukraine and the war of Ukraine that they try to divide people and to pay attention to that. So nobody goes and open any lawsuits against the, you know, the forcive injection of this COVID invented by themselves, you know, and give it by themselves and all the vaccines to the whole population of the Europeans. You know, dumbing down, making them stupid, making them so dumb that they are not even interested to know what's happening in Mexico. So they have been running all these gangs in the same families. I'm going to give you the names of these families.
You know what, Gloria? Right now, I'm going to ask, I thought we were closing up, or I was hoping that we were, you know, still talking about, we were, you know, in the conversation about Kennedy, and
because you know, if he was if the gentleman is sharing already that he was in prison, I wanted to clarify that the justice system in the United States is rotten as hell, and you have no control over that unless you get this education, unless you get this information. So listen, I wanted to share with you all these Jewish people with names as Isaac da Costa of Charlton in the 1750s. They were human traders and drug traders. Isaac da Costa, David Frank of Philadelphia, 1960s. Aaron Lopez in Newport, 1760s. In the early 1770s, dominated by the Jewish slave traders in the American continent. This book is by J.E.L. Levine. So, you know, it's very important, this information, because without this, you are claiming, oh, I am a women nation, I am this and that, and you have not even one drop of blood that is indigenous, you know. I can claim that I'm indigenous because my grandfather came single, and he married an Indian woman, he married an Amazon woman, an Inca woman. So I am that blood. I am that mixed blood. Okay.
Yes,
so
you are.
I have the right to speak up about this, because if you don't understand this, you are not going to be able to fight shit. I'm sorry for my expression. You must know who you are. You must defend, you know, you may defend the justice. And if you want to bring, like this other lady that left, she say Galactica, whatever, I'm not with this Galactica shit, because you know what? They can be reptilians, and I don't believe in anybody who say I come from another planet. I don't want to talk to reptilians, because I have enough of European blood that
Enough problems.
it needs to fix. It needs to fix it. You need to repair the damage. And the only way to repair the damage is to be humble and to unite with the indigenous that are not corrupt. Because unfortunately, in I wanted to talk about, the case. I am from Ecuador, and all this, you see that, like three presidents that we have, all of them Jewish castes of fake Jews. They are in power, from Brazil to Colombia, to the drug traffic in Colombia. Now they moved to Ecuador, and you see how they are killing and sacrificing thousands of prisoners inside the prison, because in those prisons are where they hide the drugs and the weapons. That's so important, because that drugs is going to come for you children, and the children here, you children and your family are not safe, because something, we're dealing with a tsunami of corrupt people who wanted to make fast money, selling a human body, stealing a child, which is replacing the drug dealers now. Because a child, if they steal it, they can be making, I don't know who know, like $3,500, $5,000 stealing one innocent kid.
I'm sorry, sister. Corruption prays to all kinds of gods, and I'm kind of offended at the tilt of this right now. So my grandfather left Nikolaev 110 years ago to escape tyranny, and I'm thinking about those people. And we were Jewish, and we don't do that shit. So.
Okay, but you know what? People who think that they're Jewish, actually, they are not Jewish. They are Europeans. Because the Jewish people, for what I understand, are black people from Africa, and from a specific location in Africa.
Actually, it's actually blood type again. O negative blood has 3 skin colors. Black is the oldest, then red, then white. The other white people out there in Europe are Homo sapiens. So they're positive blood, and they're basically copies of us in a way. Our skeletons are different. I just wanted to say, Matt, just be easy on yourself about it, because sometimes you're thrown into incredible situations, and then, there's a hand there. There's an energy, there's something that lends itself. I just wanted to get back to Matt because he was so interesting. Let me think. Sorry, I'm having an anxiety attack and my neck is out and I'm tired.
To Matt or to Kennedy?
To Matt. Is Matt still here?
Yes, he is.
Cool. Can I see him?
I don't know, Matt, can you come back on camera?
Depends if his camera's on. Then
Oh, okay.
he might be like you if you wanted the camera off.
I see. Hello. Sorry to disturb you.
What's up, brother? You're
I
right.
have a unique situation. I had trepanation in the early 70s, and they did, of course, MK Ultra, MK Monarch, and MK Spider on me. They also put implants behind my eyes and one up into the septum between my nostril, in my nasal. They were only made for 10 years. And
What year was it?
got to remember. Sorry, I'm still getting through heavy metal poisoning, so I'm really trying not to
Early
my words.
70s, though? Was it 1974 or before?
Before. My
Okay.
nightmares started in 1968 at the Shidduch sanitarium. When I had an accident and broke my skull up here, they operated, and then I was brought back in. They trepanated my skull and they put something in there. I can't hear you.
No, you're fine. I'm listening
Oh,
to you.
okay. Yeah. At the end of the day, these have been breaking down in my system. I have a very unusual system because I seem to be able to tolerate large amounts of lead. Living in North End, Winnipeg, all of the water mains to the house is lead. Lead paint dust. And yeah, anyway, at the end of the day, I've heard people describe what they did to me as Satan's chip. And I know it all sounds crazy, but at the end of the day, I've survived every bit of it. Okay. My spirit is strong and I'm determined. But these fictions just get in my way. We've been bombarded, my family bombarded with microwave weapons, where there's a voice talking in my freaking head, telling me to do things. And I just go, I'm sorry, I don't believe in you. I know what you are. Anyway, I've gotten through a lot. I am not in a good position. What can I say? I still have Karen's stuff flowing through my brain right now. So, because I waited so long just to talk back to you. I'm really glad to see you're there. When I see your face, I see how calm and I see how collective you are. I'm very pleased with that. Because this technology stuff has really been hijacked, like hugely. Everything is a psyops. Everything. My frickin' life has been a psyops. And at the end of the day, I've tried to bring people together to fix this. But we're also damaged, distracted, traumatized. To be civilized is to be traumatized. And everything that I did got hijacked. I got deplatformed. They stole my Save the World plan and called it Q. And at the end of the day, I'm the one who thought of the plan, and I'm the one who's been punished and charged as a sovereign terrorist. I'm not joking, I was indicted. Oh, it just stopped. Oh, are we still talking?
The recording portion stopped.
Okay.
Cool. Okay.
I'm not sure
Anyway,
if, hold on, let me
yeah,
check.
well,
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
That's because she's not on the line.
Anyway,
That's because Lisa, I think she was the one recording and she's not in the room now.
Oh,
all right. Yeah.
that's okay.
How
At
did
the
you
end
know
of,
anything about my background with MK Ultra and so forth?
I don't know anything about anybody else that I've been allowed to be around.
Okay.
The ones that usually have MK Ultra are sent to me to screw my life over.
Right.
I'm not joking. I had a stalker for 10 years online and turned out to be an MK Monarch survivor with 4 personalities. And she just showed up on my door and claimed that her car wasn't going to work because she put sugar in her tank and claimed it was the border guards that did it. I survived. Anyway, the reality is that everything that has been put out there that we talk about right now, there are those who are collecting all of that data. We're just data harvest to them. My data from Facebook, YouTube, Google, I knew was hijacked. So I just did whatever I wanted to. And at the same time, uncovered so much stuff on the surface web. I didn't need to go into the dark web. because, 2 + 2 apparently is 5 now, according to certain political leaders. Anyway, it's just the fact that there are people out there who can see and know and do the right thing at the right time for the right people. Those were my words. Where we go one, we go all, but they left me behind. So I just warn you all, be aware of what you say online. Don't be apologetic when you're telling the truth. And somehow, if it goes to plan, we'll be free of this very shortly. If not, we have to get together and we have to discuss the matter of what are we going to do for our people in our areas. I'm very serious about that. Because this is how they stole the Americus Empire, the plumed serpent empire on this land of the Mayans. It was called a reset, a hostile corporate takeover, and kill anybody that doesn't agree. That's why we have all those pictures of empty cities with no trash, no toys in the streets, because they wiped us out practically.
That's what Jerry was saying. Yeah.
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they're going to do it again because they've been doing this for 6,000 years. The enemy is not people. It's the ones claiming to be persons and who carry out the orders of I don't know what you call them, demons, I don't know. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, that there's that technology. In 2008, I authorized, because I am who I say I am, and there's no challenge, except for mockery in the court. But other than that, the reality outweighs the fiction. We are in desperate times. People who are conscious are being attacked. People who are telling the truth are being attacked. People who are trying to bring innovations through technology are being held back, being shut down, or being killed. Remember the biologists all those years ago? 151 biologists murdered suspiciously. That's where we are. Nothing's changed. They're just using Orwell's guidebook to totalitarianism. That's really all this is. So it's all a play. The reality is that our territories are hosting our enemy.
Yeah.
Our enemy are the ones who hold lodges on our lands, who are feeding off of us. I made it very clear that to save the world was to save our people first, and then we will save you, because we are the law. We are the blood right claim. So whatever ounce of blood you have in you doesn't matter to me. What do you bring to a new world? We're supposed to be past the dark ages. Oh my goodness, it's the age of light. And you turn on the light and it's all dark. It's got to change. It's got to come from somebody. It's got to come from somewhere, some group of people. I don't frickin' know. All I know, I'm damaged. I don't have much time. I've been ripped off. There's high treason charges that I could extend across 18 different ABC agencies. But at the end of the day, I'm just a good guy. I tell the truth, even if I'm wrong or I'm lying, because I'm supposed to if I want to stay alive. So at the end of the day, I say that a lot. I'm sorry. I really got quite excited by what you were saying, because I've been seeking out bentonite and zeolites to try, because I've already had 2 treatments and I couldn't afford the third.
Yes, he was just looking for sources of exactly what you're talking about,
Yeah.
basically.
And I had taken, and saying the word zeolite.
It's breaking
The
up.
best analogy I know is like saying the word vegetable, because you don't know where the quality of that vegetable, you don't know if it's been radiated, you don't know, has it been
Yeah.
embedded with harmonizing frequencies,
Yeah.
or is it just a little zeolite? Because you get up into the higher forms and you get up to, if you go find the highest, purest ingredient sourced zeolite, and then you literally nanotechnology. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
problem is that I don't have, I
No,
have
can you hear
zero
me okay?
faith. I have zero faith in nanobot technology, as much as I have for,
Well,
I don't mean to put that down. Listen, what I am
no,
saying
you're
is,
okay. You're okay. You're okay. Let's not
after
get,
everything that they've done to me personally, violating my body as a child, everything that they've done, every doctor that turned away from my shattered chest. You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
don't trust their technology. I want to know that somewhere out there, there is in fact counter technology,
Oh, there is.
okay? Like the
There is.
5G, the 5G, the 6G, whatever that frightening radiation monster is.
Right.
Isn't there a way that we can tap the earth to increase its frequency, somehow causing a feedback on those damn things?
Well, let me speak
mean,
on the data that
Okay.
we're pulling in from not just gas discharge visualization tests, which shows the auric field of everything and
Mhm.
anything. But let's discuss the data on what we're picking up through every type. Let's keep it simple: electromagnetic spectrum.
Hmm.
Okay, there is a group of guys that 5 years ago put together Tesla technology, and what happened is this. They were looking about 70, now they look about 55. And they look very, very, very young, very, very, very healthy. They look like regular old guys beforehand. Now they look very, very, very different. They have more data than I've ever, anecdotal data, and they have gone through 2 different stage 4 trials now with everyone that's used this. Most of the people that are getting this technology, like me, are attacked with direct energy weapons at times, different things. So anyways, I'm trying to keep this as short as I can because there's so many different places I can go. But yes,
Yeah.
there is technology now available, and the way that it can't be compromised is because it's sending out multiple signals that work together from different locations so that no one can intercept it and lower it or fuck it up. Like if you remember that quantum biofeedback machine that Lisa had over there at UNN with whatever, and it showed promising results, but that's one of 100 different machines that are like that. And then now it gets tuned down and it doesn't work. Okay. Now, so let's look at me. 3 years ago, less than 3 years ago, I was homeless, sleeping outside, and I was shooting as much heroin and meth as I could possibly put into my body, trying to kill myself. And my pregnant girl that you just seen with our little baby, she was doing the same. That's how we met each other before all this awakening happened. Like I said, no one even comes close to recognizing me. Number one, I didn't even have, everything about me has changed, okay? I have perfect health.
I can see it in your eyes.
Yes, man. I'm telling you, dude, I feel gratitude all the damn time, okay? Like, and yeah, now this, that technology is incorruptible. And they have what it takes to cover their ass so that we could make this relationship with them and not feel like we were going to bring them more heat. Because, this stuff, when it really works, it totally gets shut down.
Yeah.
So yes, and this is going to be very affordable. It immediately changes your environment. Can you guys hear my birds behind me?
Yes, we were listening to them earlier.
We were listening to them earlier.
So nature comes alive around you. Like I have plenty of videos of me petting like hundreds of bees and my son walking up to, you know, about 10 different deer and them not being scared of them, even though their dad's right behind them. Okay. So if now I'll tell you during this whole thing, I turned my LOC, which is what you call your level of consciousness from this machine. So you can actually, because here's the deal. You know, if you're someone who is still kind of getting your vibration up, you know, you may live in an emotional state that has a lot more negative emotions than I do. And so you don't want to throw too much at that person and throw them a higher level vibrational frequency than what they can really resonate to. You know how when people talk about channeling, kind of meeting that halfway point and stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
So this device, what all you have to do is go on there, adjust it. If you're feeling like it's too much for you, it will all the time be supporting you in ways that you have never been supported, in all the ways that are electromagnetic, which is everything, namely emotional and your level of consciousness. Okay. So now getting the heavy metals out is critical. Okay.
Yes.
Heavy metals in the physical form is what people would refer to as generational trauma. Like when as soon as the Industrial Revolution started and they started having all these new toxicities and smog and all that shit. Okay, so your great grandma, whoever she was, whatever blood she had, she started getting those heavy metals. Those heavy metals go in real good, but they certainly don't get out real good. So she took them on, and then when she made your great grandma, she passed whatever she had on to her, and then she might have got vaccinated, and they got more and more heavy metals. And then she carried her great grandma and hers, and now your mom has 3 generations of built up toxicity that she passes on to you. Now we've gone from in 1920s where Alzheimer's and Parkinson's didn't exist. Now it's like, you know, everyone gets it when they get old enough. And with autism, it's something that obviously in
They're all created.
schizophrenia, yeah, it's all created. And yes, all of it is 100% undoable.
Yeah.
Now,
Yep.
and we've got the entire thing set up on a package. And this has been now here's the deal. I am not supposed to, it's not my position to, you know, everyone heard over at UNN Lisa Thomas's side of everything, right? But no one heard Tank. Because I'll tell you one thing about Tank. All right.
I heard him already.
Tank's like this, all right? I've seen a lot of men in my life. Everybody's been through a lot of shit, right? We've all been there, done that. Okay, cool. So here's the deal. I've never seen a bigger class act than Tank. That's what I'll say, point blank. I know it. I know the whole story. I'm maybe one of 2 people, and I probably know more than the other one. But I know the whole gauntlet of what's really went down, and I'm so impressed by him. It gives me easy energy to put what I put into this. Now, what we've come up with is the absolute best proprietary blend that's ever been created that has used the highest forms of quantum or Tesla technology, or however you want to deem it, the best technology with the best stuff. But that's only one aspect. Heavy metals is very important, obviously, with the parasites and everything. It's very important. But there's also mucoid plaque. Mucoid plaque will not come out with just enough zeolite. Again, and I'll tell you, I took 5 different zeolites, man, and I knew all about it way before I started taking Clean Slate. And it's a whole different ball game because listen, every night I lucid dream. I didn't dream for 15 years. Now everybody that takes the stuff after a few days, this is only one of like 6 of the components. So because there's a lot to be put into this, okay? So you got to get the heavy metals out. You also have to get the mucoid plaque out, and then you got to be able to permanently shine a harmonizing EMF mitigation plus scalar, which is Tesla technology when you're combining the two.
Yeah, I'm aware.
That's you have to do that. And then it has to be something that can't be compromised later on, because you get everybody on it, and then it brings all this heat because you got 20,000 people on it, and then all of a sudden 2 months later they're like, oh fuck this, these people are healing, and this makes a real dangerous situation to the motherfuckers that own everything and control everything, and they come at it with everything they got. So we didn't want to be one more. You know, we've seen that problem happen to a lot of different to this technology time and time again.
Yep.
Period. So now, unlike before, we have the whole thing set up where it's going to go clear, like a smooth sailing ship for everybody. So all you got to do is you got to get this stuff, this Trinity pack, which we've already kind of launched a little bit and got people aware, so that hopefully the master discerners of truth, right, can go and start looking into it themselves. I'm going to tell you, it's backed by peer-reviewed studies and anecdotal data that will flat out fuck your mind up, because it's like listening to a Jesus healing story every single time you hear of someone. Every type of autoimmune, every type of everything, your sleep becomes better than you ever remembered it in your life, and that's like almost immediate. So you start getting that kind of connectedness. All right. I don't remember the last time I was out of energy, or what it means. The sun goes down, I naturally fall asleep. The sun comes up, my whole family, we all wake up together, full of gratitude in my heart at the time. Okay. And I was as bad in the lowest vibrational problem in the world as anybody could be before. So, I can't even tell you the amount of excitement I have about this for humanity's sake, on behalf of humanity. I never could have imagined that this was going to be my calling and my mission work. You know, and I can fearlessly say, this is the answer. This is the solution to the inner restoration of the human being. And that is way past physical. Physical is 1 out of 7 or 8 of it. Yeah. You know, to get all the trauma and to get yourself reconnected or remembering connected to what you really, really are. Yeah. And it's come one, come all. Well, and we got everything lined up the whole way, setting it up for the people, you know, the people that truly trust Tank, you know. Tank's got a heart of gold, you know, and there's the only way a man can have the energy and passion he's had for this many years is if he really cares about what's right, you know. I mean, it's as beautiful of a scenario as a story is ever going to be told. So, you know, and very affordable too. I'll tell you, all of this stuff, once you try it, everybody that's tried it so far, we've had some real tough people, tough cookies that have been around the block. Like you guys, a lot of these people on this call today are truthers before there's truthers. You know, whether or not you guys all agree with each other, you know, I get it. I get with people making claims and all that shit. That's all fine and good. But the most important thing is you guys have all been on a journey, on a spiritual journey of consciousness of trying to, you know, you guys are first to call bullshit and want to change the world and believe and know that you have the power to do it. Yeah. And you know, you guys been catching traction and digging your feet in the dirt, trying to do that for a long time. And you know, I can tell you, this is something that you haven't seen before in terms of the results. Yeah. And it's going to be a hell of a lot more affordable for everybody. It's going to be affordable enough that you will spend. It's priceless. It's beyond priceless. You know.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, we can talk about the matter. I just wanted to mention that when we do get wheels, we get motion. I am the original stakeholder of the Mayan Empire. I'm the, how shall I say, the heart of the mystery school. All that stolen gold, all that nightmare, just to steal an empire.
There's a lot of history that people aren't aware of, right? Obviously, that's not taught in his story. What Moon's talking about relates to a rare knowledge of history.
Yeah.
There's an infinite amount of histories. You know, we know that there's been thousands of civilizations completely destroyed from the next ember to the next. So, you know, where one person may resonate deeply with this part and everything, and there's certainly a lot of credibility to the whole to the bloodline and to how that gives merit to certain to the laws, you know, and everything. You know, it's about, but I am more concerned with making sure there is a long-term, I'm playing the long game with this.
Yeah.
And these companies are set up so that every single way a company's ever been taken out, they're not going to be taken out. Their intent is perfect. And you know, it's going to change every single person. And it's going to end up changing the world, because we're right now taking vibrational frequencies, or LOCs, which is level of consciousness readings, for every event that happens, such as like the January 6th riot, right? That brought a lot of emotion, right? I know. But
Was it the riot?
any
It wasn't the
situation,
riot.
right. Any false flag or anything we can come up with,
Yeah.
we are constantly on reading in full time the vibrational frequency of what that does to the earth, okay? Because that is really what is the big manifester, is electromagnetic energy, which is people's emotions and thoughts and stuff.
Yes. Yes.
So what we're doing is we're fine tuning a surefire path to, you know, if you get one person that has an LOC above 700, which means you're starting to get into the enlightenment, and in order to do that, you actually have to be able to feel an emotion a little bit above joy, which is bliss. You know how we have, sometimes we feel bliss, but not all the time, but you got to be feeling more in tune with bliss than any other emotion. Then you're starting to get into enlightenment, right? And one person in enlightenment is worth more than 70 million people that are still stuck in like pride.
Yeah.
That's all it
But
takes.
the problem is there's so few that can think outside the program.
Right. Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
But all we got to do is find the people that know that they've been lied to about every single thing in their fucking life by the system. And then all we got to do is say, hey, this thing actually got nothing to lose. So, hey, how about this, dude? Because if you've been through the shit to feel the darkness and to go through all that, so that you can rubber band to the light, and then we go ahead and hack that thing becomes more powerful than trying to control 20 million Neanderthals.
Well, we are 20 million.
Neanderthals.
We are.
There's more to the.
Maybe the wrong word. Maybe the wrong word.
No, it's correct. No, it's correct.
It's just, it doesn't mean who you think it means, is all.
It's not what you think it means. There's a classification of a unique species that shares commonalities with all of the original founding first world citizens.
Nice.
The serpent, the S-bone, okay? Neanderthal just means new man, because the first man was A negative. The second man, the new man, is O negative. So it's so huge. When I really wish I was in better shape right now to talk to you.
It's too far over my head in a lot of those ways. So I kind of, you know, it's easier for me. I really, it's intriguing, but it could become, I only have so much time, and it'd be like trying to take on a whole new thing out of my life. And my life is so obsessed.
No.
You know?
Well, look,
understandable.
But I stay in the here and now. What I do deal with is what I can deal with in the here and now. And I can tell you, there is some absolute game-changing things that Tank has gone into his man cave on, or whatever you want to call it, cave. And, you know, people aren't hearing from this or that, and that man is better than ever. And there's some amazing things that I was allowed to talk about what I've talked about, but there is things that are beyond that, that are as impactful towards this restoration. I believe, see here, I'm not Tank. Okay. I am like this. I'm like this. I believe that there is the people that own every resource.
Yeah, BlackRock.
Trying to take my kids' life, and they're trying to take me, and they're trying to take our souls. They're trying to take everything they can. And I believe every single second that we're around their devices, they are harvesting our energy.
Well, they are, yes. They are, absolutely.
They are taking our energy. Yeah. So they create better energy for them to harvest. And so what we're doing now is, now I got to tell you with this technology, just a little quick point. I just want to feed you this one, because you're going to actually really appreciate this. I really think you're going to like this. You ready? The more smart meters now, now I'm speaking from a researcher. There's a full research team. There is a full diehard research team that only does stage 4 trials for their whole career. That is on board. That is taking all of this. That has gathered up all the data they can, because they have to do it to protect themselves. That's one way to protect, that you have to protect yourself when you're launching this kind of thing. All right. I just lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry.
Not a problem. It happens to us
all the time.
I usually say the end. Let's keep talking. I promise you I'll think of it, because I thought of it about 4 different times when I was listening to everybody talk. I apologize. So,
what were we talking? Yeah, where were we going?
Well, I know that I was on
you were talking about technology that is over and above. I remember that part. I'm just sorry. I have a migraine, and I'm really going to have to end it here.
Okay.
But look, I love you all. Thank you, Lisa. I'll leave you with Tim.
Thank you for joining us. I wanted to ask while we're still here, if Andre or Scotty had anything they wanted to ask or wanted to share. While Matt's still here, while we're still here.
Hi, this is Scotty. Thank you, Lisa, for the invitation. I've learned something in school today. Just trying to pay attention. I have pretty little to offer in this frame. Lisa invited me because I have a bit of notoriety around First Amendment work in the Rainbow Gatherings. And that's a long story I'm not going to bore you with. But I've just been, I didn't use my screen because I've been bopping around doing things and listening, and so I'm not really into much into Zoom performances.
Yeah.
So thanks for letting me listen and pay attention. Only thing I can possibly add that I've been working really hard on assembly rights as kind of an ancient traditional way of human connection and understanding association and creativity, and the extent to which those rights are being subjected to a war of attrition in this country and around the world. And I hold the ability of people to connect in a human way sacred, and very directly involved in trying to combat means by which police powers subvert that and criminalize it. So that's an ongoing struggle. I won't bore you with my gory details, but been active.
It's good to see you're on board to learn, and I think that's the most important thing, is coming down to the common ground between us, because this is an Indigenous circle that we're completing now for what took place here, that took place in Tartaria. It's not a myth. It was actually a peace and friendship, trade and commerce treaty with this land. But at the end of the day, I just glad to see that you're there, okay? Because we can't do this alone. We've never been able to do this alone.
Well, this I want to address one point and a concern there.
Okay.
I've undertaken some projects conscientiously with the hope of engaging cooperation as a means and an end in itself. And I find that progressives and rads and space cadets and all the like really esteem the idea of cooperation, but they really don't know how.
Exactly.
And
perfect, yeah.
One of my assets and liabilities is being an old jock, and there's something to be said about being out on a striped field of green with nothing but your ass on the line, and either you put it down or you don't.
Yep.
To me, you know, I hear all sorts of fancy councils and meetings and what like that. And to me, the best meeting is a huddle. You know what the playbook is. You get your heads together. You call a play and go run it. And no, it's not time for a debate or a meltdown or personal validation.
Mhm.
And I try to draw upon that discipline in others, and I've been disappointed in that discipline, which I've discovered the relationship of the word discipline to disciple. Just think about it. And that doesn't mean orthodoxy or ideology, but it's about understanding the focus of what you're doing. So there's my gripe. I want to thank you for your time and letting me pay attention to good ideas. Okay.
Thanks,
Thank-
Scotty.
Hello, George here, Hanro.
Yes.
Yes, I understand that talking about the clan system and our treaties and bringing our people together. I work with 11 countries in South America, Mexico, trying to bring our people together to understand that we had treaties and the clan system to bring our governments back together, stand together. I understand Matt and the new technologies he's talking about. And he mentioned TELUS. Is Elon Musk part of this program sharing regarding the technology? Because I work with this other group who talk about med beds and 6,000 trades that the government has been holding back, all this new technology that we can use for our people, which have cures for all the diseases that they brought, man-made diseases that we can use. But I mean, we have, as nations, the sovereign signatory or whatever we are, sovereign nations, we have to come together first before we start talking about meeting with our brothers, the Star people. I was going to ask Karen if she knew anything about the Alaskan Triangle and the ships that's going into BC between the mountains. If she meet these people, why doesn't she introduce them to us?
Good point.
We can sign sovereign treaties with the clan mothers on Turtle Island. So I mean, I've learned a lot. I understand a lot. I know Tim Phillips very good. He's a friend of mine.
Hi, George.
How's you going, Tim?
Good. Good to hear from you, my friend.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of technology, a lot of stuff I've picked up here, and all the years we've been doing this. I met Karen Macdonald about 20 years ago when she worked out of Saskatoon, quantum physics. So I mean, she talks about a lot of good stuff there. But I mean, like Tim asked her, she couldn't answer a few questions. So I mean, it's it's nice to know about all this technology that's out there, but our people's got to know. We got to bring more people in to the circle before we can move forward.
Yep.
We can't even get together as sovereign nations right now because everybody's stuck under this Indian Act. This government is corrupting everybody.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing that's happening in the United States. The Bureau of Indian Affairs in the United States is doing the same thing. So we have to bring our people together, our sovereign nations together, so we can work together. And many arrows cannot be broken.
Yep.
We tried for several years, believe me, we tried to hold a gathering. What we ended up finding is that we were separated, divided, and then overwhelmed by agencies that were supposed to protect us. We also found that, in fact, we were now under legislation to make us the enemy on one of them.
Well, we are the sovereign here. I know what you're saying, but
we've become an inconvenience. Yeah, we've become an inconvenience because we can think again, and some of us are leading the way. But but it's a logistical nightmare when you don't have any of their fiction money. We're old gold, but we don't see it. And of course, we're also owed for all these so-called trust funds they're collecting all the revenue from the land from and not giving to us. So there's a lot of errors that we have to correct together. And, you know, bringing the original traditional leadership, the original venue together, we end this. And we don't shoot anybody. We don't hurt anybody. It's just a thing that's done because right is right and it's not wrong. So by the right, we act together and it's done. That's all I see. We don't have to entertain their imaginations. They live on Fantasy Island. We live on Turtle Island. So they're undocumented. Remember this. They're all undocumented aliens by their own law, because we're the original founding. We're the stones that hold up their nightmare. So that gives us a right in law, and I think we should exercise it. I really hope you all keep it together, talk, share, care, love, help someone out. Because when it comes down to push, comes to shove, the only reason they haven't wiped us out is because there's too many weapons on the land. That's why. And, you know, if you've got guns, keep them pointed down till you know what you're shooting at, if it comes to being shot at. Because this is ridiculous. There's no law here. There's policy. It's all business policy. And all of that's held by the Black Rock with a great big black snake underneath it. And that's the company responsible for taking our empire and decimating our people. We want to help the world. So save us, help us, and then we'll save you. Because it's right, it's good, and it's true. Some of the ways we bring to the table are medicine. Other ways, we're all survivors. We've been civilized, which means traumatized. So anyway, before I get all speechy and arrogant, I'm going to say goodbye and turn you to Tim.
Thanks, Lynn. Matt, is there anything else that you wanted to share at this point?
No, if anybody's interested in getting a hold of me,
Yes.
I'm a regular person. Take down a phone number. That's the easiest way. It's area code 816-609-7995. I can, get a hold of me that way. Again, 816-609-7995. Get a hold of me that way. And, if you'd like to learn more, there is a lot that has happened behind the scenes with well-intended badass motherfuckers that we're definitely not related to anybody that is a part of the Order of the Black Sun or any of the, I don't believe that you can pull in anybody in the world. There's no one involved with there's a pretty good group of people that has kept this thing very covert. This is, because Tank really loves a lot of the people that was in this chat, wanted me to give them the good news kind of deal. But there's been countless covert hours of putting this together, and I don't think it can be protected or set up infrastructurally better. And as soon as we, it's very much very close, as close as it can be without launching. I'll say that much. And we can kind of go into that. I'm just super excited. It's really, I wish I could tell you a lot more. I can just tell you that this crap has been freaking amazing for everybody that's been around it.
Thanks, Matt.
And I believe that if every single one of us, listen, if your mood right now is judgmental, then no matter what, your mood would be like 2 levels up on the emotional, which means no matter what's happening in your life right now, you should be, instead of feeling whatever feeling you're feeling, go 2 bars up. And that's what it's like all day, every day. You know, and so you sleep perfect and you lucid dream the whole time. Then you wake up and it's like it means the whole world becomes magical. And you become far healthier than you've ever seen anybody around you be. And you know, we've kind of, and that means, and if people are and if people become that, then this world changes really.
Right. Are there any other questions? Or I'm going to ask George if are there any other questions or comments?
I got a rock. Thanks so much, folks. Hasta later.
All right. Thanks,
Hey.
Scotty. George, I'm going to ask you if you could do closing. Are you there, George?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes,
Okay.
I can hear you.
This was very informational. I'm glad that you people put this together, but like I said, we need to bring our people together first before we bring all these technologies together, because we know these technologies are out there and the cures for our diseases are out there, but we need to get more people to understand us and our clan system and clan mothers, because I work here in Manitoba and they got 64 First Nations here that's prisoners of war status that don't understand what our system is all about, which is the true. We are the originals here, and our laws are the original, the creator's laws.
Yep.
But they're stuck in that Indian Act system where the government gives them a few dollars and they ask the government, how high do you want me to jump to receive this money? So, I mean, it's very hard when these people have been brainwashed for over 500 years. And I'm glad you put this together, but we need to have a sovereign nation regarding clan system. We need to have a gathering. We can raise some kind of fund to have a gathering regarding sovereignty and nationhood for our people, because they do not understand it. A lot of our people don't even understand what the treaties are all about. So I thank you very much for having this. I hope we have another one soon so we can get together. So in closing, I thank the Creator for putting us together, that we can talk and share our knowledge with our brothers and sisters of many nations. So I thank you and have a good day. Thank you very much.
Thank
Hi,
you. Hi. And this will conclude this Friday, May 13th, 2022, Mending the Hoop Council. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And until we meet again.
Until we meet again.
Yes,
Joke shop.
have a good day.
Yes, thank you. Blessings all.
Blessings.
Yes, bye.